That's what I'm talking about.
But yeah, is Twista really on that song?
I'm about to.
What is
find
that?
out.
What's that song called again? It's fucking.
Look at me now.
Oh, look at me now.
Hey,
Look at me now. Yeah. I'm getting paper. Look at me now. Ooh, look at me now. Yeah.
bitch.
Fresher than a
Motherfucker.
motherfucker. Man, fuck these.
I go stupid. Don't do stupid.
Like,
Oh yeah,
how can you admit that you don't eat sushi like that?
I don't eat sushi.
Dude, that's fucked up, bro.
I don't like sushi.
That's fucked up, dude.
No, you're right. Yeah, it is just the three. It's Chris Brown, Busta Rhymes,
But the Wimes?
and Lil Wayne.
Oh,
That's the three of them on there.
Wow, Lil Wayne's on that song?
Mhm.
I haven't listened to that song in so long.
Dude, my sister used to be able to rap that like entire song with only a couple of holes in it. It wasn't perfect, but like she was 11, so it was pretty impressive.
Dude, there's a song by Tech Nine called Worldwide Choppers.
Uh-huh.
It's literally Tech Nine, Busta Rhymes, I believe Twista's on that song, Yellow Wolf's on that song. Hella Heads are on that song that just rap really fast, and like each verse just progressively like gets really fast
and faster.
And like, I think I can't remember if I was like in 7th or 8th grade, but me and one of my homies were like hella obsessed with that song, and like could see who could like rap most of like the verses. So I was like, dude, I was going crazy.
Now, okay, see, but now I'm tripping and I'm trying to remember what song I'm remembering that has Twista featured on it. That I thought was like another. I mean, he was probably featured on a bunch of popular songs, I'm sure. But I'll have to figure it out later.
I'm trying to think. But yeah, I think that song had Twista on it, the Worldwide Choppers, and that shit's just crazy. It's like, yeah, I got to show you that shit. Because it's literally just like everyone being like, how fast can I fucking rap? And then I was just sitting there in like 8th grade, like just looking up all the lyrics and being like, all right, and just fucking like practicing that shit in my room. Yeah. And like, I'm pretty sure I did it so much that if I were to go back and hear it again, I could probably
just the muscle
memory do a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because I like in my head, I can like hear some of the lyrics, but it's like, it would kick in more if I like heard the song and be like, oh,
I was gonna say, I feel like you have to just do them in order too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to start from the beginning.
Dude, there's like a couple that I could never do because they're so fast. Like, and I just don't even know what this fool's saying. And when I do figure out what he's saying, I can't like
mimic it.
I can't mimic it. Like it's too much.
It's too crazy. Yeah, some fools be flashing out here, bro.
I mean, that was like such an era of like rap. Like I don't even like. I remember being in 8th grade liking that, but like I don't like that anymore. Like I don't want to hear how fast you can rap. Like not that it's not like a super cool thing to see. Yeah. But to hear, but I think it's such just like it got played out back then, and it's just like, okay, I'd rather like hear something that has like some rhythm to it and like, you know, just some bop to it versus like
I feel like it was also just like a very show-offy era. In general for music. Like, you go to a lot of pop songs and they're like doing runs up the ass of like fucking.
I'll take that. I'll take a run up the ass versus freaking.
See, maybe like I don't know. Like for me, that's almost the same thing. Of like that's just show offy, and it's not that it's not difficult. Like it's technically hard to do, right? But like again, like where you'd rather hear more rhythm and like substance. Like, I want to hear, like, a catchy melody. Yeah. Rather than, how much you can bend to, like, swivel through your notes and shit like that, you know?
I just always think, like, when people do, like, crazy runs and they just, like, keep going up and doing shit. Yeah. That's just so amazing to me because I can't fucking do that.
No, me neither.
So I'm always like, damn, like, I wish I could do that. Yeah. It would be over if I could do that shit. Dude, if I could do that, oh, my God.
Just have life in the bag, bro.
If I could sing really well, I would probably just, like, be on Instagram and just, like, doing covers of songs, like, all the fucking time. All the fucking time. And I try to find, like, the craziest ones and, like, yeah.
That you just have to find whatever ones are most popular at the moment. And then just cover all those. You just go on TikTok or whatever and look at the most trending.
Yeah, but, like, me, like, I would want to do one. Dude, do you hear that?
Yeah. It's the rush from last time. It's the same.
What is that?
It sounds like wind.
It sounds like wind. Like doves in the wind. Rushing. But fuck, what was I saying?
That if you were on
Instagram,
I
would want to find, like, I would want to search for a song myself and be like, oh, this one's like fucking crazy. And then do it versus like hop on a wave of like people like doing this one and that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Honestly, that's like...
Dude, what is that, bro?
I don't know. It's probably just coming from one of the power sources of either our big guy or the headphone adapter or amp or whatever? Because it's not. Have you listened to last week's episode at all?
I mean, I listen to it a little bit when I edit it, but I like don't listen to the whole thing.
I'm curious. We'll have to check after this, but I don't think it's coming in on the actual.
No, I don't think so.
No, like actual signal. It's just something happening through our ears.
For our eyes only.
For our eyes only, yeah. But yeah, that's like honestly, thank you. One of the.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, she got a little intense right there. It's a storm warning.
Tornado warning?
Dude, that was crazy this weekend. There was a fucking tornado warning in little
San Juan Bautista,
and
where there should never be a tornado warning ever. What
that was weird. That happened right after you said that too, bro.
They're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Never. Like, I want to know what that's coming from. Like, I'm so...
Why does it start doing it more? Like, what are... Oh. It seems to be calming a little. Oh. She seems to be...
Technical difficulties, folks.
We seem to be calming the storm ever so slightly. However, there is still a hint of waves in the background. Sounds very much like rain at your window.
It does. From the windows
to the wall, to the wall, till the sweat drip down my balls. Oh, these sweet bills crawl. Oh, ski.
down my fucking balls.
Like, just what a truthful line right there.
Yeah.
Right?
That's like my favorite thing to do. Like, when I'm listening to a song and I hear a lyric, I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
What
like,
did you mean by that?
Like, there's a song by fucking Brent Faiyaz on his new album, and he goes, he like sings, he's like, we didn't care about our grades. That's probably why I failed the 9th grade. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, that probably is probably is why.
Yeah.
Like,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
We need to do a series one day when like Too High for TV is invited to like the interview circuits to like, you know, next big movie premiere, music, whatever it is, and just do a what did you mean by that segment.
What did you mean by
just
that?
Be like, so till the sweat dripped down my balls. What exactly did you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? Like the Drewski freaking?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, dude. Just put him in the hot seat, man. Put him in the hot seat. Ooh, yeah, son. Fuck yeah. Back to basic. Back to the classic.
Yeah,
bro. Don't
exactly.
even call it a basic. That's a classic right here.
Well, you can be basic and classic at the same time.
I guess that's true. I just feel like
basic does have like more of a negative connotation to it.
Yeah, right? It just means like simp kind of, right? Like
basic?
Well, not. I guess simp is not short for just the word simple. I forgot. That also means something different.
Simp is someone who like
is just
too in love with a girl and will just like do
anything,
whatever.
Right?
Like
yeah.
she can tell him like, "Oh, go fucking do my laundry," and he'll be like, "Yeah, of course,
babe." Yeah.
But like also not be like getting anything like in return.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
Which like, hey, you don't always need something in return, but don't be out there freaking.
Don't be out there
letting
simping.
people walk all over you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Yeah.
Like stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Puff your chest out a little bit. Make your voice a little deeper.
Do your
Dude,
fucking,
what is that? I hate it. I hate it. I hate Christmas. I hate it.
Oh, I always think of Anakin at the end of Revenge of the Sith. That's the most iconic I hate you to me.
No, I when I say I hate Christmas, I hate it. I just think of the Grinch when he like gets bullied as a kid and he like climbs up and he's just like, I hate Christmas.
Yeah.
I hate it.
That little dude. And then, yeah, honestly, the Grinch is a victim of bullying, bro.
Oh, 100%.
Like, in the movie version anyway.
He's a victim of bullying and low-key racism.
Yeah, in the cartoon, he's just 100% evil. Like, no doubt about it. But,
yeah. Oh,
cheers, brother. In the movie, he's for sure, like, kind of the victim.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he 100% is the victim. Like, he was super down for Christmas. He was all ready to give Martha May a fucking handcrafted fucking angel for her Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That she thought was really nice. But you got the fucking little kid mayor when he's that little fucking fat fuck little kid.
Yeah.
And he's just like, just like talking shit. And then talks about like, fucking his hair.
Because he can grow a beard and you can't, motherfucker. Yeah.
He's like, you don't have a chance with her. You're 8 years old and you have a beard. Yeah. And then fucking the Grinch just gets all self-conscious and all insecure about it.
That's pretty cool to me, man.
Yeah, dude.
I'm
26 and I can't grow a beard.
Exactly. Like, I still want a beard.
Hopefully, like, when I'm like 42, like I can grow a beard. You know?
It might happen, yeah. I would like to hope so.
Because like my dad's got has grown like some more hair.
More, yeah.
You know, but like I could just grow this shit like right under my chin.
Same.
And like sometimes I'm down for it and sometimes I'm not. I can't really grow a mustache. I wish I could grow a mustache. My grandpa used to be able to grow. I mean, he probably still can grow a mustache.
Yeah.
My other grandpa can grow a fucking mustache. But I'm just bald as fuck. Except I got hella hair on my legs.
Well, from what I heard, I don't know if it's the same with facial hair as it is to like your regular hair, but if I'm not mistaken, I think you inherit like the hair genetics of your mom's dad. Mm. So whatever his deal was is probably your deal.
Dude, that fool could grow a sick ass mustache. My grandpa, like
maybe it doesn't go like with facial hair then.
Like I think maybe I don't know if he like shaves it hella, but there's pictures of him where that fool has a fucking caterpillar on his upper lip.
A full on
dude. Like straight up 70s porno stash, like hardcore. And I'm
the
like,
classic look.
And I'm like, fuck,
that was like
bro,
the Tom Selleck look. I feel like,
damn, that shit looks so fucking sick, bro. Like, I wish I could do that. Like, I wish I could just have the option of being like, oh, I'm gonna grow my mustache out.
Not even that you would all the time.
Like,
just know that you could.
I can just like let this hair grow on my top lip, but it just eventually just looks like my lip's dirty. Like, not even like, you know.
I think honestly, if I would probably just have a beard all the time if I could, but I don't think that like if I even if I did get the ability to like grow hairs up on the rest of my cheeks up here, right? I don't think it would look very good because I don't have like thick hair. And I feel like that's a good beard is when it's like,
well, and I mean at that point, like if you are getting enough hair,
you like you could treatments.
Yeah, there's like the beard growth oils and,
that's true.
and stuff like that. Yeah. You know, do they work? I don't fucking know because I don't got facial hair. But
I mean, I do imagine that like
there's like the derma roller things too.
Yeah,
where it like pokes little holes.
I feel like if you're like just making sure you're taking care of your beard hair, then like I could see it growing better because like healthier hair is gonna grow better. But I don't believe in like a magic elixir that's just gonna like you roll it on your skin and you're gonna start growing a beard. And like,
well, I think those beard growth oils like have like natural things in them that like stimulate like growth, like hormones that like stimulate like hair growth and stuff like that. It's not just like, oh yeah, I made this up in my fucking garage. It's like because I remember Casey, you know, the heavy hitters driver.
Yeah.
Because they're like transitioning and stuff like that. So I was talking to them one day about like, I can't grow a fucking beard. And they're like, hey, like look up like these things. Like I was, you know, taking those, blah, blah, blah. And now I can grow some like facial hair and things like that.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. But they were like, you got to look. I forget what it was. I have the paper that they like wrote a bunch of stuff down.
Oh, okay.
But I just never looked into it.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. Like, I could see there being scientific stuff behind it and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I don't like, I just always am like weary of that kind of stuff just because just like any other medicine, drug, natural thing here and there, whatever, obviously there's going to be different results in like different people.
Yeah.
So like, you know, you never know.
You
but
don't.
I don't know. I'm like at a 65% approval rate of my facial hair because like this is fine enough to the point where it can look somewhat like a little tiny goatee underneath, but I don't have the full like connection.
Yeah, the connection. Yeah.
So it's not really a goatee, but to be honest, I wouldn't want that anyways. Cause like I don't know,
you wouldn't want it to just connect right here. Yeah, that would look kind of weird if it just like.
Yeah, I
wouldn't like that either.
That gives me like, I don't know. It kind of just gives me asshole vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just like a fully connected goatee like that. Like either you just have the scrag on the bottom and you seem like a low key bro to me, you know, or like the under beard, right? Like every time I saw like a dude in high school who had a beard, it was always the under beard.
Oh, dude.
And they were always just like a cool dude. Like they were just like a chill guy who just like wanted to party.
I get like this shit like right here. Like
these
right
are
underneath.
annoying.
Dude, I hate it.
These are annoying after you shave too because like the itchy stage, like when everything's coming back, like I like this part just gets so irritated, bro. Like
it just looks gross because like I'll definitely go through points in time where like this will like sag down a little bit, you know, if
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
like taking care of myself.
Oh,
And like you
there's
could
the hair
just
on
see,
there,
and you
too.
could just like see it, and I'm just like, damn, that looks disgusting.
Yeah, I don't like. You have to be careful because like if this underneath grows past what you're trying to do right here, it's not good.
No,
Like,
it's definitely not. So I definitely am always like, oh, let me fucking cut this off. I didn't do it today, but
I feel like even in like when you see people with like a full beard, I'm thinking like as a costume at this point, or like a representation in the movies and stuff. It's like neck hair, I feel like is usually like, oh, they've been on the road for a long time, or it's like a bum on the street, or like a peasant or some shit, you know? Like I feel like neck hair in general is just not the vibe. You usually cut that off.
yeah,
You keep it to the cheeks and the stash, and then you're good to go. Like and
the neck
chin.
hair just like is like just looks weird, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I don't know how I would
Even
feel about.
stubble, like it looks like dirt, like underneath, like at the wrong angles and stuff, you know?
I wish I had like nice chest hair too. Like I just
Yeah, I
have
don't
weird
have that
scraggly
either.
chest hairs.
Same. I've got like
you know?
just a few too.
But if
There's
I
not
just
a
had like a
bunch.
fucking coat, like that's pretty dope.
You know what's bullshit is I have tons of hair on my ass, bro.
Dude, it's
But-
fucking same,
but
dude.
fucking nowhere else, bro.
Yeah.
Like all of it just went
Yeah.
downstairs and was like, "Yep, see you later."
Yeah, it's on my legs and on my fucking butt cheeks.
Yeah,
for
I don't
sure.
have super hairy legs either, but yeah, butt cheeks for
No,
sure.
I've always
dude.
had hairy
Gotta
fucking legs.
Fucking
There was one year I actually like the girl I was dating at the time was like, "Let me shave your legs," and I was just like, "Okay," and I let her shave my legs, and I was not down because my legs looked pretty pale after that. And
Yeah,
it just
it
like
adds
it just
color.
feels so weird, dude. Like
it definitely adds a shade when you have the black hair.
Oh, yeah.
Like it doesn't seem like it, but it does.
and I'm a long sock wearer like this, so like it
Man.
felt like just not good.
Felt naked.
Yeah, it felt super naked.
That's funny.
It did feel interesting though, like just the smooth ass legs.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it the one time, and I will never do it again. 1,000% on my everything that I love. I will never shave my legs ever again.
Honestly,
Voluntarily, like if I had to, like
Uh-huh.
if it was a situation where I don't know, they were just like, "Hey man, you have to shave your fucking legs."
Then like
right?
whatever it is. What
Yeah,
it
I'm
is.
like, all right, cool. Like
But
I'll
if you're-
shave my legs.
If Ryan's just doing Ryan though,
Yeah, if I'm
Yeah.
just being me, bro, I'm
gonna
not
be
shaving my legs.
Yeah. In general, I don't really like I'm just too lazy, I think, to keep up with like the maintenance of trying to stay like clean faced or something, right? Because like I have tried it before, but like I get really, really like sharp stubbles when my hair starts to grow back, and so it like irritates the fuck out of my skin. Like it gets
Maybe you
super
should switch to
fucking itchy.
like, cause I assume you use a razor. Like probably 99% of dudes or people that use a razor that has like the multiple blades, right?
yeah.
I was seeing that like the like one blades are like a lot better.
Oh, that's what I've heard too. And they're like the cheaper ones that they sell now, or not cheaper, but it's like the subscription box that they sell now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be it. Yeah, but yeah, that like always happens to me. And then again, like I'm also just lazy, so like I'm not gonna want to get up and shave every day, because like I wouldn't need to shave every day or even like every week, I think, for it to like look clean enough. But again, it's just that like itch, bro. When like shit starts to come back, it hella fucking gets me, dude. I hate it.
I always think it's crazy, like those people that like shave in the morning and like the next morning, like they have to shave again because
Yeah,
it
the
already
5
like
o'clock shadow.
shit's already fucking
Yeah,
growing back.
yeah.
Like what? Like
Heavy duty.
that's fucked up.
Yeah, hardcore hair growth hormones or whatever.
Hell yeah.
Crazy shit.
But yeah, guys, what's going on? This is 2i4TV, where two guys get too high and talk about a little bit too much TV and you
And
know,
hair.
yeah, and hair and
stuff,
everything.
yeah.
We're a beauty podcast, we're a
That's
science
right.
podcast, we're a math podcast, movies, music. We're just crossing them all off the list. Eventually, we'll just be an all-encompassing podcast where we talk about every fucking thing,
Every subject known to
every
man.
single subject
and unknown.
and unknown. Exactly.
Find some new ones
Yeah.
to talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, this is episode number 92.
Crazy.
We're slowly chugging away, getting to episode 100. I was mapping it out, and I think we'll make it to episode 100 after 420.
Okay.
I think it's like a couple weeks after 420 that we'll get to.
That's still good.
And I was thinking about it. I kind of like that. Like, would it be nice to have episode 100 drop on 420? Yeah,
Sure.
it'd be cool. But I would like, I think like a nice separate 420
Yeah.
episode on 420, being that 420 is on a weekend.
Yep.
I think would be pretty fucking sick.
And then plus that and the 100th dropping only a couple weeks after.
Exactly.
Like, that's 2 back-to-back events for the podcast.
Yeah,
man.
we got to figure out what we're gonna do for 100 for sure.
Yeah. It's got to be something.
Maybe we
something
just
special.
maybe do like a big group podcast.
I think that
you
would be
know?
fun, because especially with the setup we have now, it's like we could do like a round table, you know, set up
Yeah.
multiple cameras
Yeah.
so that we have like all the angles of everybody and
yeah.
all that, and then just hang out. We'll figure it out. We'll get the panel going, you know. Yeah.
But yeah, guys, episode number 92. Yeah, we're fucking here. We're gonna talk about some Dune today.
Woo!
A little bit of Dune 1 and
Probably mostly Dune 2.
Dune Part 2.
Yeah. You guys know Dune. I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but
I don't think we have either. So that's why we'll touch on the first one.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future we'll do like an episode like really in depth on like the first one.
Well, and I'm sure we're gonna be talking about things that happened in the first one, like as we go through the second one as well. So it's Dune in general.
The second one is just so epic.
Crazy.
Like it's like it's crazy how like the first one's super good and then the second one is just even like just way better.
Yep.
Like this is what I guess this is what it really felt like when A New Hope came out.
Yeah,
and people were like, "Damn, this is fucking sick." And then Empire came back and they're like, "Oh,
well, how did you do that?" Yeah, it's pretty intense, man. Pretty fucking good.
My favorite, like, because I used to watch That 70s Show a lot, and they did an episode where, like, Star Wars came out.
Yeah.
And Eric's there, and he's like, and then Luke Skywalker had to do this, and then, like, he hopped in his X-Wing, and I'm just like, fuck, that, I get it.
Dude, that's such a good episode, I remember, because I think they have the shot of Red and Eric in the movie theater, right? And, like, the whole time, Red takes him, but he's, like, kind of annoyed.
Yeah.
And then, like, it starts, and you hear, like, the blaster fire in the back, and Red's like, holy shit, or whatever he says.
Exactly.
He's like, damn,
exactly.
this is cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so good.
But yeah, guys, before we talk about Dune, I think it's important that we talk about my guy over here. He just had a couple shows this weekend.
Yes, sir.
Killed that shit.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, this past Friday and Saturday, he played here at the Teatro Campesino in San Juan Bautista.
Yep.
It was not only him, it was his grandpa with his band, Daniel Valdez, and the Brotherhood.
Yep.
You had Daniel Valdez the second over here, and then you had Somos, which I thought was really awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fucking great time. Like from a like viewer's perspective and someone that was going to enjoy the show, it was awesome. It was like so enjoyable. It was great. It was a good vibe. Like it was like it's so crazy to me how like tight knit the community of San Juan is, right? And I've just never experienced that because I mean I've lived here for such a long time, but I spent so much time in Hollister, and like not really doing shit in San Juan because
that's like where you went to school and everything.
Yeah,
too, yeah,
exactly. But like going to like the play that you guys did, and then going to these going to the shows going to the shows those 2 days. I was like, damn, like people really get down for the community over here, and I really liked it, man. It was a good ass freaking time.
I'm glad, man. I'm glad you had a good time. I was blown away, dude. It was pretty crazy. It was super super fun. It was like a lot of work leading up to it for sure. We've been rehearsing. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Because like unfortunately it like hit the podcast a couple times here and there, but
It's all good.
But yeah, like we rehearsed like for a whole month, maybe even like a month and a half ahead of time, and we were like hitting them like basically every week. So it was definitely a lot of work, but it was totally worth it because like it was honestly, it was probably the best time I've ever had performing, like in my whole life.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Like.
I could tell. I could tell. You could tell for sure.
I had so much fun up there, dude. And like, I got such a nasty fucking bug in me now of like, damn, like I am probably just going to be chasing that feeling for like the rest of my life now. Just cause I don't know, like for a really long time, I was like doing the solo artist thing, trying to like make stuff in Logic and do all this and that. And there's just like something like completely 1050% different about like performing with other musicians and then doing that in front of a crowd and like getting to react to the crowd, run stuff a little longer, like if people are dancing and stuff like that, like cut this if it's not working, whatever, like just the whole dynamic and like not only like getting to experience that for myself for the first time, because like you've been to the other shows I've played for Devi stuff and it's just always been me with a speaker playing the stuff in the background and then I'll like sing over it, right? But this is the first time that like all the music was done on sets, like on set,
on set,
on stage. And so like it was a learning experience for me, and it was like I said, a great experience. But it was also just like I felt so lucky and just like so blessed too, because I got to see like how my dad did stuff and how my grandpa did stuff like in real time, like while I was also performing with them. So I'm like picking things up and trying to figure them out and trying to try out my own thing. And like, yeah, dude, it was such a trip. Like, I'm really just like so grateful that we were able to pull it together and like make it what it was. And I mean, we're being asked by a couple of different prospects to do this same show too.
Hell yeah.
So we might have one coming up in the summer of the same like 3-piece, right?
That'd
like
be
how
awesome.
we did, yeah. And then so we'll see what happens. I don't have 100% details yet. My dad is doing the whole like manager side of all that stuff. But yeah, with like it was crazy, dude. It was so fun. Like so much good music, like so many good people, like so much like just connections and reconnections and I think like new connections as well with like, you know, new friends and stuff like that. Like we've started to meet and everything. So it was just super, super cool, man. Like I loved having you there just because honestly, you've seen more Devi shows than most of the people in that crowd.
Been a Devi fan
because
for a while.
Yeah, because you know it's new, right? It's relatively new. Like it's been around for the last like 3 or 4 years as an idea, but the actual performance of that stuff has only happened like a few times. And so yeah, it was nice to finally get to share. Like my cousin Christian put it really well, which is like him and a bunch of my other cousins came to the second night, right? And he was saying like, you know, we've come out and we've seen you guys like do your thing before, and it's not that like, you know, like the like I guess skill or whatever, right? Or like talent or whatever was like, it's not like you couldn't see it, but like we were doing other stuff, right? Like I was playing music for a play, or I was like, you know, playing somebody else's this or that or whatever it might be. Like this was the first time that like all of us got to step out and like show all of the community, like, or at least for me, like what my shit is all about.
Yeah.
And like, damn, like, yeah, it felt so special and so cool to just like have it be received as well as it was. Like, I can't even begin to describe the feeling of like seeing people get out and like dance like as like hard as they were.
Dude, it was
songs,
like,
bro, like that I wrote.
It was
like,
awesome,
dude,
bro.
I lost my shit, bro. I got so I was on a sick one both nights for sure, but the first night was like overwhelming. Like it fucking took over my whole shit.
Yeah, like it was fucking great, dude. Like I like the whole vibe too, like everyone wanting to dance too. Like it's one thing if like, cuz you know me, I'm a fucking dance. I'm a dance, right? Yep. But it's like it's one thing like for you yourself to be there and just dancing and enjoying it, right? But then to go out and enjoy that with other people that are also fucking dancing. Dude, I was like standing there on the first night and because I didn't fucking know anybody that was like there. I just kind of like dude. I just pulled up and I was like, fuck, like all right. Like I'll be honest, I was not gonna pull up.
Yeah.
I was driving and I texted Jacob and I was like, hey, you're still going to Daniel's show, right? And he was like, nah, like something came up at work, so I gotta go. And I'm like on 156, I'm like, fuck, bro, like I don't know who's going. Like I was almost like, you know, I'm going tomorrow, like let's just like chill for tonight. Yeah. But then I was like, fuck it, like I don't got shit to do, like what, like let's just go. So I went. Obviously knew Diggs, so I was just kicking it with Diggs, and I forget what song you were playing. I think it might have been like Natural Selection or something like that.
Natural Function.
Natural Function. Fuck, I don't know. I was like Natural Selection.
I like that.
I don't know why I thought it was Natural Selection.
That's gonna hopefully one day, fingers crossed, that's gonna be the Weird Al Yankovic parody version.
I don't know why I don't know why like one of the nights I heard that and was just like, damn, why this whole name is song Natural Selection? Those dudes on some Darwinism shit right now.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I fuck up. I mix up that one and another song called Satisfaction a lot. So it's actually very possible that I did say Natural Selection.
I feel like you did.
I probably did.
Because
I mixed that one up a lot.
Because I was sitting there like, damn, that's a crazy name for a song. Yeah. But anyway, you're playing Natural Function, right? And I was just there with Diggs and I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I was like, I gotta go fucking dance, bro. So I like had my drink, went out there, and was just fucking having a good ass fucking time. I mean, you know, everyone was out there, dude. It was fucking great, man.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's just like, it's already just so fun, I think, to be able to like just the experience of even playing it, you know, like even when we were in rehearsals and stuff like that, like I was having the time of my life, but the first time getting to like really share that stuff, like having that be a room full of people that like I have known and loved for like various amounts of time, right? Like be it like a year, couple years, few years to like since I was a little kid, or like sometimes even before I was born. Like it was just like super, super special, and it's like one of the coolest things that like I've ever gotten to experience. It was so fun.
No, yeah, I was talking to your dad after the second show when we were all at your Thea's house, like partying and stuff like that. And I was telling him, I was like, dude, this is what music's about right here. Like, fuck, like selling fuck selling records, like doing all that shit, like coming together for a cause, and like getting to see the different generations of music, right? Because it's like I was saying, it was your grandpa, it was you, it was your dad, you have aunts, you have your sister. Like that was beautiful for me to see, because I was like, damn, this is a real like whole family thing. That is like that's happening right now. And look at all the people that are like, because like it was packed like every night. Like both nights were nights were packed.
Out, dude.
Yeah,
both nights.
And I was just talking, I was like, dude, that is what music's about. I was like, that is for sure easily one of the best shows, like one of my favorite shows I've ever been to, like ever. Right? And it's not just being biased because I'm your homie and shit like that.
Yeah.
But it's like that's a show. That's how you put on a show. That's how you demonstrate like what music is about. You know, like the feeling, the coming together, like all that shit. It was just like on display, and I was like, damn, like I felt honored to be there. Like I was like, damn, this is fucking great.
I'm glad you're there, man. For real, I was really glad you're there.
Hell yeah, dude.
Like I said, dude, like you've been on the journey with me since the beginning. You were there the first time I ever performed any Debbie stuff, you know? And like I remember, like you're just like such a down ass homie, and like so willing to actually give that stuff a chance, even when it was at the level that it was. Cause like I still remember the conversation that we had like on the way home on the bus. Cause like, or like when we were sitting at the bus, like waiting for it to take off or something. I don't know. I just remember like you telling me that, like, you know, you could feel the emotion coming from the songs. And like when I said the stuff I was saying, you understood it. And like,
your shit's good. Like your shit's good, bro. Like that's like, it's again, it's not like glazing or anything like that, because I'm your homie. Like your shit's good. Like if anyone listens to it and understands music, or not even like understands music, but like just has a love and appreciation for music that goes deeper than just like listening to it every now and then, like you can see that you're good. Thanks, right, dude. And that really showed at this show, because like you played songs I've heard before, but then like the last two songs, which were like kind of like rockish, like
like some like alt rock, like pop punk.
Dude, I never fucking heard those before.
No, yeah.
So are those like you haven't released those or anything, right?
No, they're not released. One of them is.
I need those in my phone.
SoundCloud.
I need those in my phone.
One of them's on SoundCloud.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one is, and then I can give you a link to the other one.
I need the other one, because those were. I was like, fuck, bro. Like this is good. Like you can feel it. Like it makes you want to dance. It makes you want to get up. Makes you want to move. It like it's like that's what music is about for me, man. Yeah, man. And like you got it, dude. Like your shit that you make, like it's real shit.
Thank you, dude. Thank you for real. That means a lot, seriously. Because I know, like you're saying too. You know, like you. I consider you a very avid and like experienced music listener. So you saying that, I appreciate it. Like
it gets to a lot of shit, dude.
Yeah, dude, you really do. Yeah. And again, you're like hard to impress sometimes too. So like, again, you know, that means a lot. I appreciate it, bro.
Hell yeah, dude. Of course.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the future. Everybody who is in the band this time around is like down to keep playing shows, and thankfully enough people who, you know, have opportunities here and there were down, and they're like asking about when we can play shows and, you know, how much to charge and stuff like that, which I don't fucking know, because I've never done this before. But I'm excited to learn how and keep going and try to just play more stuff like this, you know? Like, I know I'm not going to be able to have my grandpa and my dad at, like, every show, but I would like to, like you said, just continue to, like, bring that energy to, like, as many people as I can. Because, like, honestly, like, that this felt like my entire life I've just wanted to do exactly what I got to do this weekend, which is just bring good, positive energy, like, into the world through music. And the fact that, like, I finally have gotten a taste and a chance to, like, see that realized, it's like, oh shit, I can do it. Like,
hell yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Like, I should have done this a long time ago. Like, I could have been, you know, I mean, whatever. Everything happens when it needs to happen.
Hindsight's always 20/20.
Exactly, right? Fucking whatever. But yeah, man, like it was just such a, I'm very glad that everything turned out the way that it did, just because I think it's definitely opened a door to my future when it comes to, like, what's the next step for me in music.
Yeah,
you know?
hell yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited, man. It's gonna be cool.
Hell yeah. And then Saturday night we all got fucked up,
that
dude.
party was super fun.
Dude, that shit was fire, bro.
Dude, I was super
fun.
so, like, I mean, you kind of had a little bit of the behind the scenes on it, because initially, right, that was the night that all my cousins came, so we were planning on just going back to my house after, which we've done multiple times.
Yeah, many a time.
Yeah, and me and my sister were talking to Mig, who also big shout out to Miguel Silva. He played guitar, rhythm guitar, and wants to join up for an episode of the podcast. He's thinking about movies.
Fuck yeah.
But we were talking to him before the show on Saturday, and he was like, "You guys ready to party tonight?" And we both kind of were like, "Yeah, how did you know?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And we're like, "How'd you know we're having a party?" And he's like, "Wait, you guys are having a party?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "No, we're having the party at Mom and Dad's house, at my Nino and Nina's house, at my Nino and Nina." And we were like, "Oh, we were going to do one at our house." And he's like, "We can't have competing parties. What the fuck?"
Yeah, exactly.
And so like I told Media, I was like, or she told me, I can't remember, one of us were saying to each other, like, we'll just text the cousins, like, see if they're down. Like, I kind of had a feeling like you would probably be down. It's, you know,
I'm down for what I live here. I live here. So I'm down for whatever.
You're down ass homie, bro. Exactly. But yeah, so like, you know, we texted and everybody was down, and so like it just ended up being like a fun little transition, because like, I mean, for one, the space was a lot bigger and more comfortable, right? Because like usually we're outside, and it was at my house, it was pretty rainy that night.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah,
I was like, damn, how are we gonna do this with the rain?
Me and my sister were already tripping, because it's like, damn, the living room's not very big. Like, I mean, it's big enough, but for the amount of people that we're gonna try to be coming over, you know, we'd all be kind of tight or in our little corners or whatever and stuff. And so yeah, it just ended up working out well, and like, it was a great night in general overall, of like, again, just that same like connection and reconnection of stuff. Like, it was really, really cool for me to see you just like hanging out and talking with my dad, like about whatever. Like, I think I caught like an ear shot of like you having like, you know, what seemed like a more like legit conversation about some stuff, which was awesome. Like, that warmed my heart. But then also too, we were just like shooting the shit about movies all together.
Vision Quest, bro.
Yeah, Vision Quest, right? Like, that's coming up soon on the podcast,
dude. And I was all buzzed, and I was just like, dude, Daniel, this movie's fucking bad.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
fucking bad.
But like that,
and your dad was like, yeah.
I know, that shit cracked me up, because like I was laughing so hard that like you guys are both just on the same wavelength of stuff. And just like, again, my cousins, like getting to see my dad again, because like they haven't seen him, and like vice versa, since they were kids. Like, same with my Nino and Nina. So like everybody's sprouted up and has beards, or is like, you know, I'm getting married now and all this shit and stuff. So like, it was just a really cool night of like all of the different parts of my life, like having a chance to all come together and be in the same space. Like,
no, yeah, it was cool, because like we didn't even really get to like sit down and like hang out or talk till like the end of the night. Yeah. But like, yeah, it was cool for me, dude, because like, yeah, I was talking to just everybody. I was talking to Sammy and Anthony. I was talking to Vanessa, the fucking number one fucking podcast fan.
Shout out Vanessa.
Who else? I mean, I was talking to your sisters. I was talking to everybody, dude. I was talking to your dad. I was talking to everybody, and it was a good fucking time, bro. It was such a good time.
Yeah. They had the crazy setup in the back where,
dude,
like,
that was nuts.
Dude, it wasn't like that. From what Mig told me, even like less than a year ago. I guess they just did it like last August. But
that shit's so cool.
Yeah,
bro.
You used to walk outside, and that was just the backyard was open. But yeah, like, I mean, I'm not super good at describing things, but basically you used to walk out to my Nina's backyard, and there was like a little like stone patio with like the gazebo type thing right over the top. But like it has been fully upgraded to like a glass panel.
Yeah, it's all closed in.
Yeah, super
couches
warm,
everywhere. There's a little bar.
Dude, it was insane, man. Like, I tripped the fuck out.
It was cozy, bro. It was cozy.
And it was like the rain was hitting the window on the outside. Like, it was like that chilly vibe, but like again, like just nice and cozy in there and warm. So it was just like such a vibe, dude. It was so cool. It was super fun.
It was a good ass time, man.
Yeah.
I feel like it's always a good time. Like, whenever I've gone and like, you know, you and your sister always have like birthday parties together.
Yeah.
And like whenever your cousins show up, like I always have a good ass time. So I was immediately like super down.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was awesome. I stayed out till fucking 3:45 in the morning. I never stay out that late.
I know.
Never stay out that late, dude. But it was just crazy because it just happened. Like, it wasn't like I was sitting there like, oh, what time is it?
Yeah.
What time is it? I just like went and we started drinking, and I was just talking to everybody. I was just mingling. I was going.
Just hanging out.
And then like by the end of the night, when I realized like, holy shit, there's like not even that many people here ananymore. I was like, what time is it? And it was like 3:30. And I was like, I'll have one more beer.
Yeah.
I'll have one more beer and then I'll leave.
Why not? Yeah. Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, it also helped too that like we didn't even leave the teatro, I think, until midnight. So
Really?
like, yeah, like maybe it was more like 11:30 or 11:45, but the show ran till like at least 11. And then we were there for like at least 30 to 45 minutes of just like, trying to wrap stuff up, like coming down off of shit or whatever. So like, I think when I checked the clock when we got there, it was like 12:00 something. Like,
oh damn.
Yeah, so like we like party didn't start until midnight. But like for real, like we didn't actually even get everybody there till late. So
No, that shit was.
it
That
just
shit was
went.
fire, bro.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a really good weekend, man. It was super fun. And then we got to fucking catch one of the coolest movies ever the next day after too, dude. Holy shit.
Shit was
It was a good
awesome,
weekend, bro. It was a super
It was
fun
a
weekend.
it was a super solid weekend, man.
I had a great time, man.
Friday to Saturday, Saturday to Sunday.
Yeah, dude.
Shit.
Good
I got to do some golfing in there, bro. I went golfing because
I saw that on your story.
like the weather broke up enough to it was like literally perfect. So like me and Efren went to because I've been fucking feeding to go play golf. He's been feeding to go play golf. Freaking. So we were just like, hey, like let's go. He texted me on Friday.
Go
Whoa.
jam, bro.
So he texted me on Friday. I was talking to him about the show and stuff like that. We were talking about like a few different things, and he was like, "Hey, like let's go golfing tomorrow." And I was like, "I'm freaking down, dude. Like, say fucking less." And so we went to the Salinas Fairways because that place is honestly pretty nice, not too expensive.
Nice.
I think it was like $56 for like 18 holes, cart included and shit like that. So it's honestly not too bad. Whereas you go to fucking Ridgemark and it's like fucking $80 and it's like not that. It's like it's a good course, but it's not like $80 worth, Yeah,
that's a lot.
So like we went and like the first hole it was like sprinkling a little bit, and we were talking beforehand because it was like obviously raining in Hollister and it was raining here.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Damn, bro, like it's raining a lot," and I was just like, "Yeah." But I was like, I don't think it'll be that bad over there because I was checking the weather over there and it didn't look like it was gonna be that bad. So I was like, honestly, I'm not afraid to go. If you're still down, like let's go. Like we'll get like Chick-fil-A breakfast beforehand. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, fuck it. Like let's just do it. And then I texted him. I was like, hey, like we'll at least play 9. Like if it's raining and it's insane, like we'll take off. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't want to fucking sit there and be miserable trying to play fucking golf.
Yeah.
And so we get there, it was pretty chill. It honestly was not busy there, so as soon as we got there, we like just went and like teed off, and like the first hole it was like sprinkling a little bit, but then as we got to the second hole it started coming down pretty hard.
Oh shit.
And so when we were hitting our second and our third shot, because we're not good at golf, so we're not getting on the green in fucking 2 shots, right? But we're like there and we're like setting up to hit our shot, and it was just fucking raining. Damn. Like hella hard. I have glasses, so it's just hitting my glasses. Yeah. I need like windshield wipers on my fucking glasses and shit. Bro. And so we were there, and I was starting to get like, damn, like this sucks, low key. Like if this is how it's gonna be, like I'm not even down to fucking play. And he was kind of feeling the same way. And so we're just like, all right, like let's just finish out this hole. Like, and as we were getting to the green, like it started to let up, and I saw like in the distance, I was like, oh, there's some like clearing over there. I was like, how's the wind blowing? Which way is it blowing? Where are the clouds going? Fucking trying to play weatherman out there and shit. And I was like, okay, we just need that. Like if we get that, like if we get the clear skies, like we're good.
Chilling,
And what happens when we finish the hole? Like it like the skies clear up, it gets a little sunny, and so from that point on, it didn't rain.
Nice.
Like maybe it sprinkled a little bit, but not like hard rain.
Nice.
And it didn't start raining until we packed up, until we finished and we put everything in the car. That's when it freaking started raining. Hell it was like perfect.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Damn, that's perfect. Literally, it's like it opened up just for you guys.
And it was honestly like me and him were talking, like it was we had such a good day of golfing, right? Like even though we weren't like, we didn't play hella good, but like I hit some really good shots. Yeah. He hit some really good shots. Like I wasn't keeping my score. He wasn't keeping his score. Like we were just out there, like just hanging out and just playing. Yeah. And that made it so much better. Nice. Man. Like it can definitely get a little discouraging when you're like, fuck, I'm putting a 7 on the scorecard on a fucking par 3. This sucks, dude. But like, at least for me, like I was just like, like I don't even care. Like I haven't gone golfing in such a long time. Like it's not gonna do me any good to fucking keep score.
That pressure on it.
Yeah, so it's like let's just hang out with the homie, like, and let's like if I can hit some good shots, like let's hit some good shots. And
nice. That's
exactly what happened. It was a good fucking day. And then obviously going to the show later, so it was like it was a good ass fucking weekend.
Yeah, man, it really was. It was cool. That's cool, man. I'm glad. Shall we? Is it time?
I'm down, dude.
Is it? Do we? So I figured we can. Obviously, first of all, big spoilers for Dune Part 2.
Yes.
Highly recommend that you go watch it on your own.
Yes.
Because I mean, I didn't really before this happened. I was telling Ryan beforehand that I did do a deep dive into lore stuff after watching the movie, but I purposefully stayed away from it leading up to, just because I wasn't super familiar with the novels or where the story was going, and so I wanted to be surprised by what was happening in the second film. And
shit.
I really cannot recommend enough to try and go in blind, because it's not. I wouldn't say that there's anything like necessarily on the level of like Luke, I am your father, but there's a lot of stuff that is. I'm just saying in terms of how heavy the revelation hits. I'm not. It's very, very related, I think, but I'm just gonna say it right now. Paul Atreides being a secret Harkonnen is nowhere near as crazy as Luke Skywalker being Darth Vader's fucking son. Like they tried to go for it, and I think they do it well in the world that they've set up. But like, I just don't think it holds the same weight necessarily. Just because.
But I think you're also just a way bigger Star Wars fan than a Dune fan. So I think that one's going to hit more.
But I also just think it's because it's not direct, right? Because it is quite literally the hero of the story and the villain of the story being told that they have this familial connection, rather than like the protagonist of the story is related to all of the bad guys that is the House Harkonnen, you know? Like, I don't know if it's quite as like, it's just the directness that I like more about the Star Wars thing, but it could also be biased. I would say that maybe it's also just a time frame thing too, right? Because like nowadays it's pretty common to, get hit with a big familial twist or this or that or whatever, versus like, I'm sure in 1983 when Empire came out, like, people didn't make the bad guy the good guy's dad,
Yeah.
So like it probably was just like shell shock of the time that it was at as well.
I think also I don't think in either of the movies they make like a big enough point on how much the Harkonnens and like House Atreides like just don't like each other.
Yeah, there's like one line in this movie where Paul is telling the rest of like the Fremen like freedom fighters, like, I know the Harkonnens better than anybody else. They've been our eternal enemies for centuries now. But like that's kind of it. There's not really like anything besides that that really tells you. I mean, if maybe this is something that's more satisfying for like a longtime fan of Dune, because I'm sure the books dive into the history a lot more of like the rivalry between those two houses and everything. But yeah, it's like, again, just like the directness of it. But the point that I was trying to make is that even though there's nothing that I think is going to necessarily like make you fucking rethink, blah, 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 and this and that, every little left turn that they take instead of a right, or heavy turn that they take instead of this or that or whatever, like builds up to what becomes this like very interesting movie that is like, I think you could call it like an Empire Strikes Back, but I would think that it even takes a left turn even further from what Empire Strikes Back tried to do in the terms of like where they take the hero of the story. And it's really good. Like,
fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's really, really good, dude. Like the journey of Paul Atreides in this movie is definitely like kind of like a tragic but necessary one, I think, because he very much spends like the first half of the movie denying his role in this war, right? Regardless of whether the prophecy is, well, not regardless, it is, right? The prophecy is fabricated by the Bene Gesserit. It's not a real prophecy.
Yeah.
But either way, it doesn't change the fact that Paul still has an important role to play. Oh, there it is again.
What makes it do that? I'm so curious, because it hadn't been doing that for such a long time.
Yeah, we had to break. But it doesn't change the fact that Paul Atreides, Muad'Dib, Usul, whatever, has an important role to play in this like war or revolution against like what's it, the Landsrat, right? The fucking like Empire fucking council of all the houses and shit like that. And so the slow journey of like seeing him slowly start to just, he doesn't even like slowly come to terms with it over the course of the movie. He just gets pushed further and further towards the cliff until he has no choice but to jump.
Well, it's a lot in his like dreams too. Like he's constantly having the dream of like seeing like all the billions of people that are going to die if he takes that path, right? Because being a Bene Gesserit, especially a male Bene Gesserit, like he's able to like be able to see into the future a tiny bit, right?
Yeah.
So he
even more so he can see like hella far once he takes the I forgot what it's called.
The water of life or something like that.
Yeah, the water of life. Yes. Yeah.
But like, so he's constantly like having these dreams and having these visions of like future events that could possibly happen, right?
Yeah.
So he's seeing like possible futures and stuff like that. So that's what's always constantly weighing on him, because he's constantly seeing like, damn, like if I go down this road, billions of people across the, galaxy, the universe or whatever are going to die.
Yeah.
So that's what he's trying not to do. But then he's eventually pushed when I'm pretty sure he sees like a vision of like them dying and shit like that. And he's like, damn, like, if I don't take this path, then, everyone's going to fucking die and shit like that. So
yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy too, because like you have this also just very tragic, like it's sweet, right? Like it's fine. I will say is like the romance stuff there's a lot of time skipping in this movie that I think is like something that I would have maybe liked to see more details of, but like after he gets accepted as a Fremen warrior for the most part, and then he has like his first kiss with Zendaya's character. I think her name's Johnny, right? Johnny, yeah. They like skip a pretty good chunk of time. We basically get like a montage of Paul and the rest of the Fremen like battling it out with is it the Harkonnen still?
Yeah, because the Harkonnen now have like control of Arrakis and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. After the Atreides got fucking massacred.
Yeah, so they're controlling all of like the spice, like production and stuff like that. So their whole thing is like, okay, we're gonna fuck with them when we're taking them down, so they can't like take the spice and do what they need to do with it. Because the spice is like, if you guys haven't watched Dune, basically
nothing in Dune is possible without spice.
That's basically how they are able to traverse space and everything. That's like that. That's
the one resource that allows them to like fold space so that they can like instantly travel across the galaxy.
And guess what? It's only produced on one planet.
Yeah.
Arrakis.
Crazy. Yeah. But yeah, like I would say we jump at least anywhere from 4 to 6 months.
I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think it's like 4 to 6 months.
Well, think about the baby bump, bro.
That's true.
She goes from not showing at all to having like a pretty large bump.
Yeah.
So it's at least 6 months, I would say.
It's just weird because like I was watching a video on it, right? And the events from the beginning of the first Dune and the end of this one is only about like a year, because the baby's not even born at the end of this movie.
Well, that actually makes sense though if you think about it, because the events of the first movie only take place over like a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
like it starts and Paul is complaining to Duncan and his dad about like wanting to go to Arrakis like ahead of time with Duncan and like the research team, right?
Duncan, Idaho.
But then he has to wait. He's told no, and he goes with the rest of the family when like, Leto tells him, fucking Duke Leto Atreides, what a dope name. Tells him like, no, you'll go with the rest of us in a couple of weeks. And then they go, and it doesn't seem like that much time passes while they're there before the massacre happens. And then this takes place pretty quickly after the first movie.
Yeah, it's pretty much like right after the first movie.
So that would make sense if it's like from Dune Part 1 to Part 2 is about a year. That seems about right to me, like in terms of the movies,
Yeah. But yeah, so Dune Part 2 pretty much picks up right at the, I wouldn't say right at the end, but like, I don't know.
Pretty close.
Maybe like a day or two or like a couple days after.
Maybe they've been traveling the desert for a bit, but like.
Yeah. And so you have basically Paul and his mom, Lady Jessica, now part of the Fremen. I mean, they're not like warriors yet, but they're beginning to like learn their ways and shit like that.
Yeah, Paul is learning quite quickly the ways of the Fremen.
And we get a really great fucking opening scene where they are hiding from the Harkonnen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And what I really liked about it is the practical effects of like the way the jetpacks and shit like work.
Yeah.
Because that scene where you have the Harkonnen that are fucking looking for them and they decide to go to the top of that fucking rock or whatever, and they go up, and dude, just the way they portrayed that,
yeah, they like float,
was so unique.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it after the movie, like how many times do we see jetpacks in a movie and it's like they
rocket
flip
power.
them on and it's like rocket power and they're fucking flying up, but like no,
That's
these guys are like floating and there's no sound, and like
it's almost like more like anti-grav packs than it is like rockets, because they just like all of a sudden start like they're running and they kind of jump, right? They take like a big step, but then they hit the pack and they just keep moving. Like there's no propulsion, there's no like momentum. It almost feels like there's not even any weight. Like they just like start moving through the air. It
reminded
crazy.
me of like 2001: A Space Odyssey a little bit, like the way they kind of like are moving and shit like that.
Yeah.
But like at that point, right, we're at the very beginning of the movie. It's probably 5 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, this movie's fucking different.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen that before ever in my fucking life.
Yeah, it looks awesome, dude.
And I was just like, holy shit, like this is like I mean, just immediately I think I could tell like by the cinematography within the first few minutes, by like the different colors on the sets, by the way like the scenes like looked, and how well everything like just came together, and how well put together the world felt within those first few minutes. I was like, holy shit, we're in for a fucking ride, bro. Like this
feels
is some
like
crazy shit.
This feels like the closest thing to a Star Wars or a Lord of the Rings or like the greatest of all time like world building series of stuff. This feels like the closest thing we've gotten in modern day, I think. Just because like I'll throw the MCU in there.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter as well. But I think both of those, Harry Potter will get an exception just because it does have a focused story. It just happens to take place over like a longer period of time. But there's something different about like the more condensed trilogy / two-parter, like just the way that it's like, it's insane to me how much world is put into this universe in fucking 2 movies. Like granted, they're very long, right? The first one's like 230 something.
This one's 246.
Yeah, so like they're chunky movies. They're not short by any means, but there's a lot of like world building put in just in the background of stuff. They don't really go out of their way to like tell you every little bit of lore or give you a reason for why a certain thing may be on screen or why it is the way it is. They just present it to you, and it's so like visually striking and just, I guess believable is a weird word for something that is like crazy space sci-fi fantasy as this is, but like the world is just it's so believable. Yeah. Like you don't question anything, like just because of how well crafted it all is and how well it all fits in with like the tone, the actors that they've casted, whatever it may be. Like everything's just firing on all cylinders across the board. It's kind of fucking crazy. It's honestly overwhelming. Like it's a lot of movie to take in on a first viewing. I think like I am for sure like blacked out on like certain little tidbits here in the movie for sure. Like I can just tell because like there are so many epic standout ones that just like take the spotlight. It's like, fuck, this is going to take like a few watches before I'm like, again, like the Lord of the Rings or like the Star Wars is of the old, right? Of the old days. Yeah. Like, you know, like it feels like one of the big ones that will be around for a long time afterwards. Like they really did something special.
Yeah. Well, I think like something that I wouldn't say is like unique, but something that I feel like you don't see too much of in like big blockbuster movies or big budget movies that are really, you know, marketed towards like the masses and like, hey, go watch this movie, is like Denis Villeneuve like puts a lot of ownership on the audience on like, hey, you have to really piece together what the fuck is going on here. Because I'm not going to sit down and I'm not going to have a character be like, oh, yeah, see, House Atreides and House
Yeah, it's
Harkonnen,
not Mission Impossible.
we hate each other,
Yeah.
and this has been going on for like a long time.
Yeah.
But again, he'll throw in a line of like, Paul Atreides saying, I know House Harkonnen better than anybody because our families have been blah blah. Like that's more natural than like someone in the first movie being like, man, these Harkonnens again, like this beef has been going on for so long. Like he puts a lot of like, you have to watch what's happening and you have to take it in, and then you have to like piece together like, okay, like, because there is a lot of like interchanging of the what is it, like the Lisan al-Gaib or something like that, and then like the Kitsat Haderach, and like they use that very interchangeably, and if you're not paying attention on,
you don't realize it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, but it's also kind of it's different as well, right?
Well,
because
the Kitsat, how does it?
The Kitsat Haderach or something like that.
Something like that.
That's more the Bene Gesserit of like, okay, the Bene Gesserit have been doing their thing for such a long time of like, of selectively breeding bloodlines. Creating the perfect human to lead humanity into the next evolution, right? Whereas like the Lisan al-Gaib is more so the Messiah that is going to come and take Arrakis back for the people and then make it a paradise again, right? Because there's like, you know.
But then that's the fucked up thing though, and that's I think where Zendaya's whole character arc comes from in this movie, is that story
is made up.
It comes from the Bene Gesserit. Like it's not the prophecy is actually technically on a certain level fabricated. It's not to say that the faith that comes from that prophecy and the power and the hope that it instills in like the Fremen to follow Paul Muad'Dib Atreides like in this movie is fake. That's not necessarily what I'm trying to say, because like there is a very powerful like fucking rallying and like revolution in this movie around him as like the mythical Messiah figure. But Zendaya is like the one and only Fremen who really I think has her finger on the true pulse of what's going on, aside from maybe Paul, because I think Paul knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
I don't think he's like he realizes that it is his mother's orders, like fabrication, right? And he's just fulfilling the story that they always wanted him to do, right? It's not technically, it's weird, right? Because the powers that be, the Bene Gesserit, are so fucking godlike. It's hard to say that it's not divine intervention, because it technically is. Like, they are so powerful as an order and so influential across the entire galaxy through the Emperor and like all of the, you know, corresponding powers and leaders that they're like manipulating, that they are like divine intervention. But it's not the same. It's a fabricated religion. It's a fabricated like divinity more than it is like a true spiritual one that comes from like a natural something or other, right? Like it's so crazy. It's fucking layered and heavy, because like that's also not really something that they're, again, like you said, hitting you over the head with. Like this is stuff that you just kind of have to realize in the little details and the little conversations that they're having here and there. It's not like you said, there's no conversation, right? Where Paul's like, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm fulfilling the role of blah, blah, blah. Like,
and there might be like, again, there might be a line where they like explain like really quick like what the Kitsat Haderach is, or like what who the Lisan al-Gaib is, but then they're not returning to it, right? Because it's like, okay, I've said it, here it is. Now you have to remember that, and you have to take ownership as an audience member to remember that and be like, okay, because like it can be overwhelming when like one thing they're saying like Lisan al-Gaib and the next thing they're like Kitsat Haderach, and you're like, holy shit, like what the fuck is going on? But you have to like sit down and be like, okay, and like that's just what I appreciate, right? Like he's really focusing on crafting something that feels real. And not like, he's just like, that's what he's doing. Like he's like, let me craft something that feels very real to you, right? Because like in everyday life, I guess, like you're not like, someone's not sitting there and being like, oh, this is what this is and this is what this is, and this is. It's like, fuck, you learn and you take it in, and it's like, okay, you learn from this person, you hear from this, you know. So it's like, that's what I really appreciate what he does. And like in all of his movies too, like Sicario and stuff like that, like that's another one where
Prisoners, he did Blade Runner 2049, which I still haven't seen.
Dude, that fire, bro. But again, like in those movies, he's not hitting you over the head with like whatever the main theme is.
Well, I think the way that one of the ways I think is the most effective of like how he achieves that is like, again, it's like what all of the great, like, because like it's funny because I think a lot of the we admittedly say this a lot, right? Like we're both lore heads, but it's funny because our favorite lore worlds are not the ones where they are telling you all of the lore all the time, right? And I think the reason why is that like in a movie, lore is meant to be in a book or on the internet or in an encyclopedia later for us to go nerd out about, because the initial story, whether it's Dune, like the early Marvel stuff, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, the lineage going all the way back, it focuses less on that stuff and more on the people in this story. This is not, the way that it builds its world is through its characters, not the world itself. Like you are emotionally invested in the journey that each of the people in this movie are going through, right? We talked about Paul's a little bit, like Chani, like Zendaya's character, is this kind of like rise of hope and then ultimate like disappointment in, you know, what he ends up having to do. There's like this journey of faith that Stilgar goes through that's very compelling in this movie as well. Like those are the things that are building out this world and like building out like
stuff with Gurney.
Yes, Gurney coming back and like, dude, yeah, like that's it's the characters. It's the individual people in this story that are selling this world and not vice versa. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's so successful, is because like it really is, it's less about this. Part of the reason why it's as epic as it is because the backdrop is what it is, but the characters feel so personal and so like real that like it sells you on everything else. These characters can do anything. Yeah. And because the characters feel so real, everything that they touch or interact with in turn will feel real. And I think that's like one of the key takeaways that like, you know, studios are always studying shit and stuff like that. Like that's one of the things that I think they need to pay attention and get back to. Is like you said, we don't see that a lot anymore, right? Like it's not really about the character first anymore. It hasn't been since like in really, really heavy stuff, I would say probably like after 2015, it's just like hardcore downhill. Like of just like goes for the world building first and then the characters second. Like there's tropes for characters all the times and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's refreshing to see. And I think it's like, yeah, again, it's one of the greats, dude. Like I don't know if it's going to end up being a trilogy or not. I know we were talking about a little bit before, or if they're going to move on to like Dune Messiah now. But Dune Part 1 and 2 already, as it stands, regardless of what happens after this, is like pretty fucking masterful, bro. It's good. It's good fucking shit, dude. It's top of the line.
It's ridiculous, bro.
It's like, really good. I'm gonna go hit the bathroom really quick.
Hit the baño. Hit the baño, dude. I've done 35 days straight on Duolingo. Oh, so now I'm still doing it, bro. Yeah, I'm still sticking with it. Over a whole month. Yeah, I mean, I already knew what baño was. I think you learn that when you're a young kid, you know. You have to. But like, you know, I'm learning what like suitcase is. What suitcase is maleta. Yeah, okay. I'm learning what like a ticket is, like a ticket for a train, you know. What's that one? Boleto. Sheesh! Out here, bro, out here. But yeah, Dune, just back to Dune really quick. Like, speaking more on just building the world through visualization instead of like exposition, right? Like there can be little expository like scenes here and there, right? But I appreciate how, again, like just how much ownership Denis puts on freaking every single audience member and is like, hey, like I'm going to tell you something once, and that's it. And you better remember, because the story's not going to be as great if you don't remember, right? Like I think some like stuff about like, cause I remember watching Dune Part 1 for the first time, right? And just being like, damn, this shit's boring. But it's like, I wasn't really sitting there and like paying attention. I was so used to like being spoon fed all this little like information and every single scene and all the time and every single character reminding you about this, and that. Whereas like I remember watching Dune and the Part 1 and being like, damn, why is Paul like such a good fighter? Like I think it's easy to chalk it up to like, oh, he's the main character and that's why he's a good fighter. But no, you have to remember that they mentioned like, you know, I think they mentioned like just super quick that like that House Atreides has some of the best fighters in the whole galaxy, and that's literally because of Duncan Idaho and Gurney Malik or something. I forget what his last name is, but because of Gurney, because they are two of the best fighters and they train every single person. But it's like that's something that's easy to completely miss and be like, oh, like what is this? I'm talking about like how when I was watching Dune 1, right, and being like, damn, why is Paul such a good fighter, right? I'm talking more about like just the world building through like visualization rather than like exposition and stuff like that all the time, right? And like in the first Dune, like they mentioned like really quickly, right, that like House Atreides has some of the best fighters because of Duncan Idaho.
Yeah, Duncan Idaho. They got Gurney Malik.
Yeah,
too, like.
but it's like it's something that's so easy to like miss and not understand like how good of like just little of a detail that is. Like it's easy to chalk up like, oh, Paul's a good fighter because he's the main character, you know?
Yeah.
But like to have the information of like, oh no, he comes from a house where they all have the best fighters and he got trained by two of the best fighters ever.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's why. But it's something that's easy to miss if you're just not really like paying attention to it and like are used to like the spoon feeding of like information every single fucking scene of this and that.
I also just like that he puts it in there as a detail that way as well, just because it makes it so that it makes it so that if you need the explanation of why Paul is kicking everybody's ass, then there's something there, right? For those who are going to scrutinize and find the little detail of it. But at the same time too, again, like him being a like excellent fighter is not a part of his character necessarily. It's so much as it is that like he is an experienced historian in the battle tactic. He's more of a strategist, like a master strategist. I mean, he's both, right? He does kick everybody's ass because he's the main character and and the details, right? But it's
like Luke Skywalker wasn't kicking everybody's ass in Empire Strikes Back.
Not off the. Yeah, that's true. But like again, too, it's like same thing where it's like when you're in the forest on Dagobah, it's not like they're showing Luke. It's not like a training montage of him getting better at lightsaber fighting. It's the themes of the Force and what it means to be a Jedi. And then once he goes through that, he's a good fighter, right? It's not like I like that idea of like having a like thematic purpose that if you go through that gauntlet, then you like level up, right? Rather than like a practical sense of like, let me show you this dude beating up 10 guys and now it makes sense that he can beat the final boss. That's for video games.
Yeah.
That's not for movies. I don't need to see progression happen that way in a movie, right? I need to see character progression happen in a movie. And then that's a satisfying way to level a person up to like the next whatever, right? And again, like I like that they did that because it's like in the first movie, I think there's a lot of setup of Paul Atreides being like hesitant towards his destiny in general, which is like very foreshadowing of what ends up happening in his overall like story arc, right? Because eventually, by the time the saga is done, Paul Atreides, I don't think is really considered much of a hero by the time it's over. He is certainly a protagonist, right? But like, anyway, not to get too far ahead. In the first movie, he asks his dad a lot, and he's, tripping out a lot of like, I don't know if I can do, like, I don't want to be Duke one day, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't want to sit in on the councils. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Very start of a series protagonist vibes, right? And then he's forced into that role a little bit at the end of the first movie. We start to see the beginning of it, right? Like the initial reaction of, he kicks into high gear to save his mom, right? And then to do whatever it takes to survive, even like killing a person for the first time, even though he really doesn't want to, right? And then in the second movie, I think it's again, just like a short little line of it because we see all this stuff, right? He starts to get closer to, initially it's like Chani, but then all of the Fremen start to respect him as a warrior. Stilgar is like on board right away because he just thinks he is the Lisan al-Gaib, like from the get. And then,
as it was written.
He's so good in this movie, dude. Javier Bardem is like top fucking notch, bro. emotionally heavy, like sells you on it's hard to do like a religious, because he's a fanatic, right?
Yeah,
Like he is a
100%.
fucking hardcore believer. It's hard to sell that and make it make sense, like make it feel emotionally like valid, I guess, because it's easy to put that in a movie and it be kind of over the top, right? Because he is over the top, but he also just has these very grounding moments as well, where like, you know, he's funny or he's joking around or he's telling them like, shut up, like this and that, whatever, right? But anyways,
I think that's just really quick,
Yeah,
just to go
yeah.
off that really quick on
Yeah.
Stilgard. I think like as much as the as it was written stuff is like a meme, like I
Yeah.
think that is such a good through line, like a good fucking like a control for like your character to see throughout the movie. Whereas like in the beginning, like when he says like, oh, as it was written, it is
Yeah.
very like funny and can be comedic.
Yeah.
Which I think is like one of the like crazy strengths of like this movie is like sometimes it could just be funny like randomly, you know.
He's hilarious
Yeah.
in this movie at times, honestly.
But it's like you see the progression throughout the movie of like that becoming more fanatical versus just like, oh, look, it was as it was written. As he's seeing more of the stuff that he believes because he believes in this religion that was, you know, fabricated by the Bene Gesserit or whatever, you know. Like you can see how the belief in something, like if your belief in something is so strong, like the lengths it'll drive you to, right?
100%.
Because like he's on board in the beginning because he's seen some signs, so he has faith in Paul. But as he starts to see more of the signs, he's like, oh, this is the guy,
dude,
and I will do whatever, bro, and I will do whatever. And that's what's so crazy about like Dune, right? It is this like visually stunning sci-fi epic that, all right, cool, the fights are cool and awesome, but it's like it's really about religion and belief and like how dangerous stuff like that can be. You know,
I think really an interesting quote that I saw from Frank Herbert is that one of the main takeaways that, you know, in a particular interview that has been, you know, reposted a bunch, is one of the main takeaways he wanted people to get from the series, which I think holds true in like the movie adaptation, this version of the movie adaptations, is that charismatic leaders ought to come with a warning label. Right? Of like, Paul Atreides is a charismatic and caring, I think genuinely caring, and a real person of a leader, right? But the fact of the matter is that like people are fallible, people fail, and people don't always live up to expectations, and sometimes they do go overboard and they don't fulfill a perfect version of what a hero looks like in a movie. And like I think that very much starts to rear its head pretty heavily in the end of this movie, like especially like the last like 30 to 40 minutes or so. And just from what I've seen of how the story goes on, that continues to happen even more so. Just like the leaders even, right, and messiahs even are still just people, like at least in the way that this world is presented, right? Because there is that religious belief and there is that fanatical belief that Paul Muad'Dib Atreides is like this otherworldly, he's the Lisan al-Gaib, right? But he is technically,
we need to make sure if that's the right
I know, we've been saying it over and over, but yeah, he is technically just a man. It's just that he is the first successful experiment of the type of person that the Bene Gesserit was trying to create all this time, right? We were good? Okay, yeah, the Lisan al-Gaib. Yeah. What's the other one? What's the one that the Bene Gesserit call him? Because I think that one is probably, I can't remember if that one's right or not. You were close earlier for sure. But yeah, like he is still just a person, right? And like it's kind of heartbreaking to Kwisatz Haderach. Yeah, that's a crazy one. That's right. Kwisatz Haderach. He's the Kwisatz Haderach, the Lisan al-Gaib. Yeah. Paul Muad'Dib Atreides. But it's kind of a heartbreaking thing to see, right? Because like for the entirety of the first movie, and then like the first, you know, good chunk of the second movie, he is that kind of humble, I don't want the power, I'm not here to lead you, I'm just trying to fight next to you type of vibe, right?
Yeah.
Until he's just not all of a sudden. And it's not necessarily because he had a character shift and is all of a sudden, you know, becoming this terrible person or anything like that. It's just that, like, in times of heavy turmoil and war and, like, conflict, especially on, like, a galactic scale in the way that it happens in Dune, it's fucked up. But, like, much like the Emperor tells him at the very end, like, you can't just be a fully pure-hearted, kind-hearted person. Like, fucking hard, horrible decisions have to be made to get through this shit. And there's going to be a lot of bad shit that happens before you get to an era of something that resembles something good. And, like, I think at the end of this movie, like, Paul realizes that he is the one person who was quite literally designed to take on that role. Mm-hmm. And he ends up stepping into the shoes and, like, fulfilling them pretty goddamn well. Like,
yeah.
It's still very epic, and I don't think it necessarily, like, goes so far off the edge that, like, you see Paul as, like, an evil person. Mm-hmm. But you just see, like, fuck, this fool had to sacrifice his soul a little bit to, like, do what needed to be done. Like, he did not get to just remain that humble, innocent Paul Atreides that we see for the majority of the movie. It's crazy. That's heavy.
Yeah. Speaking of Paul Atreides, I've been very vocal on this podcast about how I'm not the most down for Timothée Chalamet. I will say, though, I definitely told you, and I definitely told other people that I was ready for this specific movie to be the movie that makes me go, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. And that 100% happened.
Finally.
Like 1000%. Like,
he's good, man.
He's like,
really good.
It's like, for me, like, what has to happen is there has to be a transcendence from the actor into the actual character that they're playing. Yeah, like, I gotta look at him and be like, Paul Atreides. Yeah. Yep. The way we look at Mark Hamill and we say Luke Skywalker. The way that we look at Hayden Christensen and we say Anakin Skywalker. The way we say, you know,
iconic figures.
Exactly. All the iconic figures. Like, that's, to me, what needs to happen for it to be believable for me. And
especially in something like this.
Exactly. Where you really need to dive into that. You really need to show the emotion. You really need to, especially with someone like Denis Villeneuve, who's like, again, it's not going to be exposition heavy. Like, there's going to be a lot of shit going on, but it's not going to be a lot of people telling you, like, you know, laying it out for you and shit like that. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of times where you're looking at Paul and it's just his facial expression. Like, you're seeing how he's feeling. You're seeing how he's slowly slipping to the side of, like, okay, I need to fully become this person. I need to kill Paul Atreides and I need to become the Lisan al-Gaib. The Kwisatz Haderach. Like, he needs to become that person to, you know, save all these people, right? And I think Timothée Chalamet just does such a good fucking job, dude. Like, even like, awesome. Like, when I was rewatching Dune 1, I was like, okay, like, this dude's doing good, but it wasn't like, you know, there were some scenes, but it wasn't all of them. Whereas in this one, it was like, dude brought his A game from start to fucking finish, dude. And I was like, okay, this is what I was fucking waiting for. And now I'm a fan, bro. I'm a fan. I'm ready, you know. I'm ready to watch some more Timothée Chalamet movies.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
I'm curious now too. I wonder if now that you've, like, gotten over the hump, if you go back and watch older stuff, you'll have, like, a, like, slightly more
probably,
like, accepting opinion.
I would assume so. Yeah. But yeah, man, he just does such a good job. One of my favorite scenes is I think we were talking about it before, is like when like before we started recording, is when he's in, like, that holy place, right? When they're all gathered together, when all, like, the tribe leaders are gonna go and speak, and he shows up, and it's after he's drank the water of life, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
And man, like, he really flipped it from, like you're saying, being that humble guy to, like, no, I am the fucking leader. Yeah. And I'm gonna show all of you.
It's just so,
and, like, the way he goes in there and the way he speaks and the way he, like, commands just the screen and just everything, like, I was like, holy shit,
he's awesome.
Like, that's the scene where because I was kind of waiting for it the whole movie. Not to say he wasn't doing good the whole movie, but, like, I was kind of waiting for that scene to be like, oh, where's the scene where I, like, boom, okay, I completely get it. Yeah. And that was the fucking scene. Like, he did such a good job. I think, like, not like, I think that could be an easy scene to fumble because the amount of emotion that you have to bring into
it's the
it.
big, broad declaration of
Exactly.
I am the chosen one.
And if you
like,
don't,
it could be cheesy.
yeah, and if you don't like bring it the way he brings it, like it's not like I don't think it's gonna be as good, you know.
I think a lot of it too just has to do with like the setups that the movie had like settled ahead of time as well too, right? Because like even though Stilgar is 100% in his corner, he's like 100% devout to the ways of the Fremen, right? Like he never strays from like the path, so to speak. And it's again like a detail that is just kind of thrown in here and there, but like we are hinted to it that like you can't speak at like the council that they have there at the end unless you're like a leader of one of the groups, right? Of the Fremen or whatever. And so walking up to it, like when he fucking busts in and he's got his fucking, I did think it was funny. It looks cool, but I did think it was like it was funny and like kind of on the nose of like the visual representation. He's like in pure white the whole time, right? And then all of a sudden he's wearing like the black cloak at the end. Yeah. He's like, I am the guy. I'm him now, bro. But he walks in and like Stilgar is ready to die because he knows that in order for him to speak, he needs to be a leader, and the only way he can be a leader is by showing dominance and killing the leader of the group that he's a part of, which is Stilgar, right? So he's like, because he's a believer, right? So he's going to sacrifice himself. But like, he's still sticking to the way. And then he just walks in and starts like fucking telling them their dreams, right? Or like telling them their nightmares or their fears or this or that or whatever. And even Stilgar is like, holy shit, like beyond fucking deniable anything at all. That's the fucking guy. I don't even need to fucking give a shit about what I did before. Like, this is the fucking dude. It's him. He's fucking here. Because again, it is him, right? Like, it's such a crazy, like, it's such a trippy dippy fucking thing, because you as the audience member, I think, at least on a first viewing, I'm interested, like, when we go back to watch it again. On a first viewing, I think you're very much in the perspective of the Fremen, I would say. I don't even necessarily think it's like Paul Atreides. I think you are like in the seat of them, right? As a first-time audience member, because in typical part 2 of a series fashion, you want to see your hero achieve their full capabilities, right? You want to see them grow to be the chosen one, because that's what we've been trained to know and like, you know, want for our characters, is for them to like fulfill the prophecy, right? But like the way that it's just set up in this is almost like a double-edged sword of like, I mean, yeah, that is still technically what he needs to do. Is that the best thing for him personally or his personal relationships? No, not really. But because he is really genuinely a good person and is trying to just do his best to help the Fremen people, he knows he has to sacrifice that part of himself in order to make that happen. And like, it's fucking heavy duty good shit, bro. It's like, damn, this fool like this fool is the fucking Messiah. This is some Jesus Christ shit, bro. This is some Matrix ass shit for sure. Like, it's epic, dude. It's crazy.
Jesus.
He is, bro. It's hella crazy. It's really good, dude. It's really good.
There's so many like good characters. Like like obviously Paul Atreides, he's the main character. That really good. His mom, Lady Jessica, like the transit, like the stark difference between her and the first movie to this is crazy. And kudos to the actress. I forget what her
Rebecca Ferguson.
Like holy shit. Like she's so good and so creepy. And like she's even like in the beginning of the movie, she is very similar to how she was in the first movie. Yeah. But then when she becomes the Reverend Mother, like
it's a big
the switch that is flipped is ridiculous. Like it's crazy. She's creepy. Like when she's talking to her fucking her baby, her unborn baby.
Yeah, Paul's little sister.
Yeah, exactly. That like gains consciousness because of the freaking water of life.
Yeah.
That shit's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked the line at the end that I don't know her name, but she's like the Grand Reverend Mother, I guess you could say, of like the entire Imperium, right? She's the one who is, I guess, like consulting with the king, with the emperor, and then with I don't even know her name actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I just think of her as the princess, but whoever Florence Pugh plays in the movie.
It's like it starts with like an I or something like that.
Yeah. She has a great line at the end, right, where like Mother Lady Jessica tells her once Paul wins the fight and like the emperor finally bows and like kisses the ring and shit. Like you chose the wrong side, and then almost like in a weird, like defeated, but I would say even maybe to us in the back of her mind, like kind of proud way. Like, you know better than anybody else, there is no sides. You're like, because she is literally just continuing the mission of the Bene Gesserit from a standing that benefits her and her family. But she's doing literally nothing different than what they were already doing, because the entire movie she just spends spreading the fucking word of the Lisan al-Gaib and manipulating the people in both the north and the south to wait and hope and bet on his coming, which she knows will happen because, again, her son was literally crafted to be that like, yeah, it's this crazy thing of just like, damn.
Well, I wouldn't like, yeah, he was crafted to be that, but he was also like not supposed to be a boy.
He was because in the first movie, Jessica, it was trying to have the Kitsat Haderach or whatever. Because
but in like the grand scheme of like what was actually supposed to be going down, she was supposed to have a girl because the girl was supposed to grow up and marry and have babies with Feyd-Rautha.
Oh, okay. Well, in this one. Because I thought she didn't even know that she was a, what do you call it, right? Until she drank the water of life. She didn't know that she was a Harkonnen.
No, I know, but like, but what the Bene Gesserit were doing and the whole grand scheme of like trying to bring about the one. Yeah. Like, Paul was never supposed to be a boy in the grand scheme of it all.
Oh, okay.
He was supposed to be a girl, and that girl was supposed to marry Feyd-Rautha, and they were supposed to have babies.
Who was going to be...
Or I don't know if they were going to, like, if that one was going to be the one, but like, because Feyd-Rautha is, like, the craziest Harkonnen, right?
Yeah, he's insane.
He is pretty much Paul for the Harkonnen.
Sure, yeah.
So that's what they were trying to...
Okay, together, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's the line in the first one where, like, the Bene Gesserit, or the Reverend Mother is, like, pissed at her.
Yes.
Because, like, somehow, because they have crazy space telepathic powers or whatever, the Bene Gesserit are capable of like deciding whether they have a boy or a girl, and like the Kitsat Haderach is like across like all of the different shit is specifically meant to be a guy, because I mean, whatever, it's just how it is, I guess, in this story, right? This one fantasy, because there's like the whole thing of like, oh, only the women can really survive the process of the water of life in general, but there's like one dude who will be able to do it, and he's this, right? And then same thing, it's like the Bene Gesserit are entirely like a organization like made of women, but the dude the one like kind of crazy, actually, very old school now that I'm thinking about it, but whatever, again, it's a fantasy, right? It's not real life. Is like the first like man who can like do the fucking voice and use all of those powers and stuff like that, like that's the chosen one and everything. But I wonder if that has to do with the eventual failing, right? Because he actually isn't technically, in the grand scheme of things, again, much like Star Wars, right? He isn't technically the Kitsat Haderach, because it ends up eventually being his son who fulfills the true prophecy and like leads humanity through the golden path, as they call it, right? But he was like the first trial. But I wonder though, if like, because Lady Jessica defied what the grand plans were, if that's why he ended up failing and not being able to fully like achieve the like the full destiny, right, of like leading humanity through the darkness and shit like that.
I believe so, because he technically wasn't supposed to be a guy.
Yeah, because like from what I've seen, spoilers for stuff going forward, right? But like, and who knows if he's gonna do it exactly how it was. I haven't looked into like how accurate the movies are versus the books. One of the things that I've heard is that like in the books, the Bene Gesserit do have supernatural powers, but it's more like supernatural powers of persuasion. They're not necessarily like telepathic, like they're presented to us in the movie, like Charles Xavier style. So like I think that's already like one departure. So I'm sure he's probably doing what works for his world, right? Rather than like trying to do like a 1-to-1, right? But eventually, if he's following the general story of stuff, I think what happens is that like Paul has a harder and harder time continuing to hold on to the role that he's taken of like basically the cold-hearted, like I'm going to do what needs to be done to get humanity through to the end, regardless of how that makes me or the billions of people that may die in this time right now feel. Humanity will survive. He like can't handle it, I think. And then I think what happens is that like there's an assassination attempt on him at one point and he goes blind. And it's part of like Fremen culture that the blind just gets sent into the desert and he just willingly goes, like doesn't even try because he's so defeated. He's like, yep, fuck it. I'm out. I'm going. And so he's gone, lost. And then it falls to one of his 2 kids. And then I think Leto II takes it so that he can like spare his sister from, what is a pretty fucking shitty deal, honestly. Like, homeboy has to turn into a fucking dune worm and live for 3,000 years as like a pretty tyrannical leader because again, that is what is necessary for humanity to survive in the long run and eventually get to a point of like peace and prosperity. It's crazy.
Shit might be pretty cool being a dune worm though.
Maybe.
Just being a big ass freaking worm and just
hanging out
fucking swimming through the sand like it's freaking water.
Yeah, seriously, that shit's dope, dude.
Yeah, but the interesting stuff that's moving forward, because I have watched some like videos on what goes down, right? And so the stuff with Chani not agreeing with Paul and whatever, and like going off like never, like doesn't happen. Like
in
that's
the books?
that's like not a thing. She's like, I guess she's for the most part like down because like Paul is like, yeah, like this is just like a, the stuff that me marrying the princess or whatever is like just a thing I have to do. Yeah. Right? Like I'm not going to the marriage is never going to be consummated or anything like that. Yeah. Like I'm still going to have kids with you. Yeah. But I think this and here, because she's so against like the greater religion and is like, hey, like they just do this shit. They just make this shit up just so you can follow them and freaking bring about their plan. Like, they really don't give a shit about you. Yeah. Like, because she cares more about that, I'm interested to see where that's going to fucking go. Because then she's really going to be, like, opposing Paul, like, for sure,
Well, I think, because they could also...
Or being a different protagonist with Paul being, like, more of an antagonist maybe moving forward.
Well, I think also, too, they can just go one of 2 ways of it, right? Because, like, Because, I mean, if that's the case, then they are going to be divulging pretty hard from what the source material is if they become opposing forces. But I think they could also just take a more interesting route to the same conclusion in that rather than just going along with it because she's the love interest, she has to go on her own journey of acceptance of what it really means, right? Because, again, like... It's not that Paul is like a bad person necessarily, right? I don't think he's a bad person and I don't think he has bad intentions. It's just that like he has no choice really but to follow this path that's set before him because again, he is like, it's fucked up. It's like, I'm trying to think of a good comparison, but it's like he's not operating on just a personal level anymore. He operates and is like thinking on like a galactic scale now of like the future of humanity, right? And so like he's doing things that I think even he doesn't necessarily want to do. And so again, if they don't want to like make the conclusion different than what is in the source material, then I think that would be a good way to do it of just Chani has to go on her own journey of acceptance of what it means to like sacrifice your own personal wants and needs for like the greater good, so to speak. And then again, eventually she'll agree with him, right? And they will have kids, and then that'll lead us to like Children of Dune and stuff like that eventually. If they go that far, who knows how much he wants to do, right? The director. But yeah, like I think that could be another route that they take as well. Cause like, yeah, again, if you go that other way, then like, I mean, you're essentially, I mean, it's like a cheap way of saying it, and I don't really like doing it, but it is kind of true. It's like you're essentially creating fan fiction at that point, right? Like it's your own version of what you want the story to be.
Exactly.
So like it would be different, but it could be cool. Who knows?
Yeah. Another major change that they made is that so Paul's sister normally at this time is already born.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And she's the one that actually kills the Baron.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah. But she's apparently like in the books and like in the 1984 movie, she's just like this just creepy ass like little girl.
Nice.
And like all the Bene Gesserit call her like an abomination because obviously she was
like
came out of the womb like with insane consciousness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just like operates on a completely different level. And they're like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
that right there, the little girl's fucking crazy.
I wonder if maybe maybe if he is really planning on doing his own thing based off of like, you know, what happens in the books and whatnot, then like I wonder if rather than like Leto the Second being the one that ultimately fulfills the prophecy, it ends up being like his sister instead.
Maybe.
Or something. I don't know. Again, that's like going way off of what they
Those are the vibes that I was getting though, because like throughout the whole movie they were putting like so much emphasis on like the baby and like the embryo and shit like that, and it's like
I thought she was gonna die when they had the Life of Water scene. I thought she was gonna lose the baby.
Yeah, but like I don't know, like to me it almost felt more of like I don't know, like it was like I just was getting the vibe that like this baby that's not even born yet has like this whole other plan with the mom, and like they're just using Paul and stuff like that. Like I don't know, like because it was like there were so many shots of them just like showing the embryo. I'm like why after like once or twice like do you have to keep like showing it? Like there must be some deeper significance than what you're giving us.
Well, I mean, she's obviously going to be an important character in the future of this franchise because they casted Anya Taylor-Joy as the grown-up version of her.
Yeah.
And she's not an actor that you just cast for the fuck of it. Like, so yeah, she's very more than certainly going to be an important character going forward with whatever they do. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what happens because like essentially what follows is like 20 years of just war.
Yeah.
And just the holy war in the name of the House Atreides, right? And on behalf of the Fremen people, basically.
Yeah.
Of just spreading the religion of Muad'Dib, of like the fact that like, nah, this fool's God. He literally came, saw the future, and fixed shit. Like
Muad'Dib.
He was your new emperor, bro. And so like, I think that would be an interesting. If they're gonna make if they make a Dune Part 3 or it's Dune Messiah Part 1 or whatever the fuck happens in the next movie, if they continue to have Paul Atreides be like the main character, I do think that would be a fun and like probably pretty dark movie of like, damn, like everything I didn't want to happen is happening or whatever, right? Type of vibes and shit like that. But I do also think that it would be a good time to have it be like a transitional movie of sorts of like, yeah, that's still a good chunk of the focus, but you're also bringing in now the protagonists of like the later stories.
Yeah.
And like starting to build them up so that they can take over once everything happens the way it does. Again, like if that is the plan, right? To keep going forward. Cause like, I mean, yesterday, I think I saw an interview with Florence Pugh and Zendaya talking about the ending scene, right? And like what they thought it meant for their characters and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know exactly how much she knows or what and anything like that. You know, you never know. But Florence Pugh was saying that everything that happens at the end of Part 3 sets you up very well. Or sorry, everything that happens at the end of Part 2 sets you up very well for the next part. Which again is a relatively vague statement, and again, who knows how much is true, but her saying next part makes me think that there's going to be a Dune Part 3 rather than like moving on to the next story, because like you said, right, Dune Messiah has a time jump, right, and it takes place like further on, so I think that could be a fun place for him to maybe expand and do some stuff and some ideas of his own, of adding almost like an epilogue that's the in between,
Mm-hmm.
like a Clone Wars situation, right, or a Rebel situation, I guess, where it's like he can bridge the gap between the known story and where the two known stories leave off.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a little bit more room to play while like probably staying pretty faithful to like, you know, the spirit of the story and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they will just do a time jump and like age up Timothée Chalamet, you know, have the kids be in it. Who knows?
Well, I mean, if you do like just a 12-year time jump, I don't think like, you know,
it's not too crazy.
Yeah, it's not too crazy.
It's not too crazy. I do think, I will say this. I was telling you this before the podcast started, is that like, even though I know in real life, you know, actors like Timothée Chalamet and like even Zendaya are in their mid to late 20s. To me, they still look very much like me. I am myself. Like I'm going to be 27 this year. Like still look pretty young, I think. Mm-hmm. And so that's the one thing of like, do I see them as parents of just any children aside from like babies, like really, really small infants? Not really. Not without some work. Not without some CGI or some makeup or something like that, you know? Like, I think it would take a little bit. Because they do look pretty young to me, I think. I think they both seem like 20-something-year-olds.
Yeah.
Not even like late 20-something-year-olds, you know? They got young faces. They got baby faces, I think. Again, much like myself. Not throwing shade.
No, they do. They do, for sure.
Not throwing shade at the baby face,
They
man.
do, for sure.
Yeah.
They Dune for sure.
They Dune for sure.
How you done?
I liked that line a lot too, because like again, it was just like the roll credits moment for me of he's like saying something about like, you're praying to your grandmother right now, like she who was alive when this planet still had a Fremen name. He's like Dune. I was like, oh, holy shit, he said it. It was good shit.
But yeah, you know who else did fucking great in this movie? It was Austin fucking Butler, bro.
Yeah, he was good.
Feyd-Rautha,
man, he was good.
That fool was crazy.
Yeah, very scary. Very good.
I love when is it Gady Prime that they go to when it's all black and white, or is that a different?
I think it was, is that what it was called? I thought it was called like something in the Harkonnen, like something or another, like because what do you call it? One of them that they were at was like Arcanine something. And
Arcanine is like the capital city of
of their like
Arrakis
region.
or whatever. Whatever.
And then I thought it was like Arcanine Prime or Arcanine something or whatever, but I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know, but
yeah, that
I
was
like the whole black and
crazy.
white thing that they had going on. That shit was awesome.
Yeah, because it's a planet that lives under a black sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking epic, dude. It looks so good.
That shit was awesome. I loved like the introduction because it was such a stark difference, right? Because I think what this movie does really good is like it has its really nice beginning part with fucking Paul and Chani and everyone, and Paul becoming more acclimated with like the Fremen people and becoming accepted and all this stuff. Yeah. And then once you kind of get through that, right? Yeah. Once it kind of feels like, okay, where's this going? It's just like, boom. Yeah. We're going over here and we're showing you Feyd. Yeah. And this fool's fucking nuts. It's insane. He's like getting like, he has like markings getting painted on him. Yeah. Then he like picks out a knife and fucking like slits the throat of like one of the assistants or whatever.
Shanks another one like 4 fucking times, dude. Yeah. He's scary.
Like, yeah, this one's cool.
He doesn't even. He takes it back to him and he's like, I think it needs to be shot. It's like, what the fuck, bro? Holy shit, dude.
And basically it's his birthday, so he's gonna be he's in like a big gladiatorial pit. Yeah.
Fighting a bunch of the last of the Atreides bloodline, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's like a few Atreides fighters. 2 of them are drugged up.
That's right. Yeah.
Per usual. But there's one that is not, and basically the Baron Vladimir or whatever. I'm pretty sure
Harkonnen.
That's that's what his name is. Basically makes it so that one's not drugged up as like a present to him, so he can kind of like really unleash has like a real fight and can kind of like give everyone a show and show everyone like, this fool's a real ass motherfucker. And that shit was nuts. Again, like good world building, like we were talking after, like those guard things or whatever that had like the freaky,
so scary.
They don't ever explain what they are, but they're just, hey, that's there. And this is in the world, and you're like, wow, this is fucking like immerses you more into the world, you know? But that scene where he's fighting the Atreides fucking sick, dude. Pretty fucking sick.
Yeah, he was awesome. I really liked the just like absolutely psychotic, intense energy that he brought to the character. I will say the more I've been thinking about it in like, I don't know, the 2 days since we've saw it, the more I do wish he was around longer.
Yeah.
And I think initially I was thinking that like I wish he would have stretched into the first movie, but over the last couple or into the next movie. Over the last couple of days, I've more started to wish that Dave Bautista wasn't in it at all. And that Feyd-Rautha actually had that role from the beginning. So that there was more of like a back and forth between the two of them. Just because Dave Bautista does fucking nothing at all in both of these movies. It's not, yeah, it's not necessarily like a bad thing, but he's pretty useless. And like, I know he's a character in the story of Dune, but it kind of just felt, I don't know. He's just very useless to me. Like, he's used as literally a clown in this movie.
Yeah.
To show how powerful the legend of like Muad'Dib has grown, which is cool to see, right? But again, casting an actor like Dave Bautista, it's like, why'd you do that? He does nothing. And so like, again, to go back to what I was saying is that like, he has a good amount of screen time in this movie. Feyd-Rautha does, right? So I don't think he's necessarily like underdeveloped or like underused or anything like that. He's in it enough that I'm satisfied and like pleased by his performance and like how he is as like a villain in this movie. But just with how epic their final confrontation was, I couldn't help but imagine how much more epic it would have been had there been a history between the two of them, rather than just that was the first time they met. And then they had this epic battle and it was over. And then that's it. And then Feyd-Rautha is dead for the rest of the series. You know, like it's just like they never ever even talk before that scene. And then they're just like, again, it is epic, right? And there's the good dialogue of like, are you ready to battle cousin? Or like whatever he tells him. It's like, cousin, is that right? Like great dialogue, great choreography, great setting for a fight, right? Like beautiful background. But again, with all of those things firing, I just couldn't help but miss that like classic, like, oh, rivals meeting for the last time kind of vibes. For like,
well, I mean, they technically are like, you know, Harkonnen and Atreides, they've been fucking, haven't liked each other for the longest fucking time.
That's true. But then again, right, like I was saying about how I kind of, it's almost the same feeling that I have about the familiar reveal. Is like those things are, those rivalries or those reveals or whatever are less personal in this and more based off of the history surrounding these two families, rather than like what we see with the characters in the movie. And again, I don't necessarily even want to call it like, I would not say that it's a weak point of the movie. It's just something that I personally wished would have been like more classic in that sense of like, oh, they're like these rivals that butt heads for a while and then this is their final battle finally. Yeah.
It's just a tough thing, right? Because like for a good portion of the movie, like Muad'Dib is just like this almost mythical figure, right? That so many people like hear about, but like no one ever sees.
Yeah.
So it almost like take away from that, like if they do like me. But I do agree with you because I have been thinking that too. I'm like, damn, like he was so sick. Like I would have loved to have seen him.
Yeah,
he's
like, just gone now.
Like a little bit more.
He's just dead.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
But fuck, dude, he does such a good fucking job, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he's
good. Really fucking good. And that fight scene that they have at the end, dude.
Awesome. So good.
God, epic. Dude. Oh my fucking, like that shit, like it made me feel like the first time when you see like because it was such a good like choreographed fight.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was like had led up to all this, you know. Muad'Dib is Muad'Dib. He's kicking the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
Right. But then he meets up with this dude that is like bigger than him.
Yeah.
You know? Yep. And you can see that like that dude can hold his own, especially against Atreides fighters who are, you know, some of the best fighters in the galaxy, you know? And like.
They descend from, I think, like Greeks or Romans.
Damn.
The Atreides house literally goes all the way back to like original Earth history.
So crazy.
Yeah.
But, and like it's such a good fight because it's like, holy shit. Like, Paul is getting his shit worked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a tough fight for him.
For a good amount of the fight, you know? And like, I was sitting there like, fuck, like what's gonna, you know, what's gonna fucking happen? But like, it definitely gave me like the way I felt like when I saw like Darth Maul fucking versus like Qui-Gon and fucking Obi-Wan. I was just like, holy shit, this shit's fucking awesome. Cause it's like, they're just fighting with fucking little knives, bro.
Little daggers,
And the choreography is so fucking good, dude.
Well, that's what I liked about it, I think. Cause I think it didn't betray the tone of the rest of the two movies that has been setting up and leading it to this moment, right? Because even though there are some standout flashy moments, right? Like his like little backflip over the dodge and stuff, right? And stuff like that. And like it is like quick timed choreography and stuff like that. It doesn't surrender to this is not to say that this is bad or anything, because I fucking love Star Wars fight scenes, but it doesn't surrender to the Star Wars thing of like, like, right? Like it doesn't do that.
There was no music.
No music. It stays grounded. Every single swipe seems like they're going for the death fucking kill, and like when things do hit, they hit hard. It's not like you get slashed and they're like, good hit, and then they get back to it, right? Like it's a real grounded fight where two people are just trying to kill each other. And I like that a lot because, again, I think it stays very true to the rest of the tone that it set up. They could have easily gone the route of like a big blockbuster thing, right? And like their fight goes outside the building and they're sliding down that tower, fucking slashing at each other and all this epic shit, right? They could have, and it would have been cool still. I wouldn't have been mad if like fucking Paul Atreides rides a sandworm into battle or something like that, right? That would be badass. But again, I like that it just stuck to its guns and was like, no, if these two dudes are going to fight each other, they're not doing it in a flashy way. Like the balance of the universe is at stake, and like the future of the Galactic Imperium is like on the line here. They're going for the kill. It's not about that shit. They're going to try to fucking murder each other. And it was good shit, dude.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, and I mentioned it after we watched the movie, but like it was nice that it's very cool that both Dune Part 1 and Part 2 end with Paul fighting someone.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
And
like a nice final battle thing.
Yeah, but it's like it's so different in like the first one where he's so like he's not the one that's calling out Jamis to freaking fight.
No.
Jamis calls him out.
Yeah.
And is like, "Hey, like I don't fuck with this at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll die for this shit. Like I will fight someone to the death." And Paul being so reluctant to kill him.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas in Dune Part 2, he's the one that's like talking to the Emperor and he's like, "Yeah, I'm in
champion,
yeah, choose your fucking champion."
Yeah.
And like him also like choosing the champion, but also being to the point where he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna kill someone."
Yeah.
He's come such a long way in like 9 months, right?
Yeah.
Where he's gone from like I don't want to kill anybody to like choose someone that I'm going to fucking kill right now.
Yeah, to settle this shit.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Dude, in that shot, like right before they fight with the fucking
the two stances, dude, and then just like the sun in the background through the little cutout of the building, dude.
I need that shit fucking framed.
Yeah,
I need a picture,
really
dude.
Good.
Dude, again,
really
like
good.
another moment of just an iconic fucking shot.
Yeah.
From like this movie that is gonna go down. Like when I saw that, I was like, oh, dude,
epic. That's
epic.
wallpaper forever.
Yeah, forever. That's gonna be such an epic shot of
dude.
like
It's so
when people
good.
remember Dune Part 2, it's gonna be like, boom.
That's
it's gonna be fucking that, dude, because it's like. Man, bro.
Yeah, it was awesome, dude.
Like I don't even know like the words to describe on how like that just made me feel like so giddy. I'm like, oh my god, like it's been such a long time. I feel like since there's been a movie like that where I've been like, holy shit, like this is I'm juiced up right now, bro. Like I'm freaking. This is like, and then like your dad was like on the edge of his seat, like watching that shit.
It was
dude.
intense, bro. It was super. That's the one thing too that I was gonna say about it is it's like this movie is paced well in the sense that like there are quiet moments and then heavy moments, but even in the quiet moments, like the intensity and just everything at stake and how like again just like realistic all of the danger feels at every point in this movie. It's a stressful fucking movie to watch. Like it is so intense, bro. Like the whole time you're just like, okay, they made it through. Oh shit. Oh, here's another one. Oh, okay, they survived. We're good. Oh fuck, now their home's getting bombed. Oh shit. Okay, they're all right. They're fine. Like it's just thing after thing after thing of just like it really feels like there's like the war movie of the franchise where it's just like shit is just completely on, in, and around the fan for this entire movie, dude. Like it's just pedal to the metal. It's crazy. It's intense,
dude. Yeah, that last fight scene, like I was like, fuck, dude, I'm sweaty. Like after it, like when it concluded, I was like, dude, I'm sweaty from watching. Well, because
they also do a really good job of like making you unsure of whether or not Paul is gonna make it out alive, right? Because regardless of the fact that he's like not getting in as many licks as he has against like other like foot soldiers and stuff like that, like he gets stabbed pretty heftily in like the gut the first time. And then in like the very, very climactic moment or whatever, like the knife's coming right at him, and they make it very ambiguous for a second where you hear a knife go in, but you don't see anything because the shot is so tight. You just see Feyd-Rautha and Paul Atreides staring each other down while they slowly come to the floor. And then the shot comes out and you realize Paul just took the knife in the shoulder and he got fucking Feyd-Rautha right in the heart. And so he's good. He survived. But like they keep you on the fence for a minute. Dude. You're like, did he just fucking kill him? Did he just fucking kill Paul Atreides? Is he dead? What the fuck? And like they got me for a cool minute, bro. Like I was worried. I was like, oh shit, he's gonna die right now. What the fuck?
Yeah. I love like in that fight, like the homage he pays to fucking
Gurney,
but no, like Duncan, Idaho, with like the fucking shit he does with the sword, but also with Jamis with like the pounding on his chest, and also like the shit that he says with like the knife, like I hope your knife,
may thy knife chip and break or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what fucking Jamis says to him, you know, like, and that's such good just carrying shit over, like little things that are so impactful, you know, like.
Well, the one that I didn't realize either until my dad said it is too, is it's like he really honors all of his masters in that moment, because the way he kills him is the way that like their Gurney and Paul's sparring match in the first movie ends, which is that like, you might think but it's reversed, right? Where like Gurney is Paul and like Paul was like Feyd-Rautha, where he's like, I have you, and he's like, yeah, but I got you too, motherfucker. He's like, you maybe think you got me, but I actually fucking got you.
Yeah, little moments that you might not be like think like in the moment are impactful, especially in the first movie, but then when you go back you're like, oh, like damn.
I think this is for sure one of the cases too where I think the sequel retroactively makes the first movie and the entry better, because I will say that like one of the things that I think maybe kept Dune off of like my absolute 1000% greatest of all time, like iconic things ever. And I will say it hasn't, as fucking great as it was, it has not entered like my perfect Hall of Famer stuff off of these two movies.
The second one has for me. The second one is like,
they're really good, but it's not on the level of like the other stuff that I like worship. So far, the jury's still out. I'll wait for the series to be over, but off of two movies, I can't do it yet. But regardless of that, one of the things that I think I was very reserved about in the first movie is that there's a lot of setup in the first movie. And not a lot of resolution.
Yeah, the whole first movie is basically
it's
set up.
All set up. There's basically zero resolution, right? Like the entire movie is essentially just like, I would almost go so far as to say that like Dune Part 1 is the prequel to what is this movie. Yeah. Because like, you know, off of the first movie, it is arguable that like not a lot happens in terms of like advancing the characters forward.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of setbacks for them across the whole half of the first movie. But because they took the time to set up those characters and get you attached to certain ones like Leto the First and like Duncan Idaho and all these various people that, you know, are lost in the first movie, it makes the journey of the second one, I think, all the more satisfying. And I think it really does sell the idea of this whole entire thing being one movie, right? In that like you have the part 1 and the part 2. I don't think that they're two separate movies necessarily, in the same way of like a Kill Bill or like various other part 1s and part 2s. Because I saw this interview clip of like Christopher Nolan, I think, saying that like you could jump into number 2 without having watched number 1, and like I think you can jump in and enjoy the movie for what it is. But I don't know that it has the same impact if you skip the first one.
No, definitely
I would say that number 1 is essential viewing.
Yeah,
going
100%.
into the second one for sure. I get where he's coming from. Like if you're just going to try and catch a good adventure fantasy epic, you can certainly just go watch this, and it's like a blockbuster of its own, definitely. But like if you want the full encompassing story of the characters and everything that's been happening, like again, like the first movie is basically just a prologue to like everything that happens in this one.
Yeah, like the feeling of fucking Paul and Gurney like reuniting like does not like is not as impactful if you don't watch that first movie.
It was a good moment.
Like for sure.
Yeah,
like so crazy. Fucking good. He gets to play his fucking
that shit was cool.
Dude,
He's fucking just jamming out like the space blues and shit. Yeah.
He was supposed to play that in the first movie.
Oh, okay.
But that shit got cut.
And so they added it in this time.
And Patrick Stewart played Gurney in the 84 one. Yeah. And he was supposed to have a scene where he played that shit, and that shit got cut.
Ah, damn, okay.
So they made it, like, Denis Villeneuve made it a point to freaking be like, yeah, this fool's got to play this shit for sure.
Yeah, I like
and
that.
so he plays it, and he did Josh Brolin did so good in this fucking
Gurney's
movie.
Sick, dude. He has one of the coolest fucking action moments in the whole movie.
Dude, just that shot of him just cutting people down, bro.
Yeah, for like
and
a cool 30 seconds, like
through.
almost a minute straight, just like tearing people up, dude. It's insane.
And walking up and meeting what's Dave Bautista's character's name, like Rebin or something like that?
I think so.
Raban or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Like calls him out because backstory on fucking Gurney. He used to be, I believe, enslaved by the Harkonnens or whatever, or something like that.
His family was killed by the Baron, I think.
Yeah, and freaking Ribbon like fucked with him or did something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like did something pretty bad to him. So he's had a grudge against the Harkonnen people and that fool specifically for a long ass fucking time. So finally he gets to fucking meet up with them and just straight up murders him like so easily. Yeah. I was so fucking down.
Yeah, see that part is epic, but again, now that I'm thinking about it, like with like retrospectively, it's like that's another one too where it's like, damn, like that feels like a little bit of a waste to me of like, I know from historical value and the little lines that they've dropped that Gurney is not a fan of the Harkonnens personally because of what happened to his family. Mm-hmm. But I didn't see any of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, double-edged sword. It's like there's times where I think when you play your cards right, it's nice to just drop one single line in here. But there are also times where it teeters on the edge of like, I think what I don't like sometimes, which is they are just telling and not showing. Yeah. Right? True. Of like, Gurney is just telling you he has a beef with the Harkonnens. Yeah. Rather than like us actually seeing it. And then again, like I'm a little bit, I think, disappointed overall in just the inclusion of Dave Bautista in this series. Cause like he doesn't do anything in the first movie. He's just kind of around. Mm-hmm. And then in this second one, he is just made out to be an absolute joke of like a brute, right? Like, which I think what ended up happening was that they and him in particular, and I think also just most of the Harkonnens in general were there to serve the main characters of the movie and like their moments that were as epic as they were, right? Because again, like that scene is awesome for Gurney, but I think that. Yeah, I again, it's not again even necessarily taking away too much points from the movie as what it was, rather than just like, I personally would have preferred there to be more development on some of the villain side, I think, across the whole franchise, rather than just the small snippets that we got in order to be enough to service like us hating them enough or us like not being down for them enough or whatever, so that when the heroes do kill them, it's satisfying. In that sense, they feel like maybe a little bit hollow, you know?
Well, I think a lot of that too comes from like having to watch the first movie and seeing like the Harkonnens and the Sardaukar like basically wipe out all of like the Atreides, because like you do have that whole scene where it's basically a whole massacre and stuff like that.
Yeah, but again though, like Homeboy's not on the ground. Like,
no, he is.
Is he?
Yeah. He straight up is chopping heads off of fucking Atreides fucking...
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like... I guess that's what in comparison to these other tentpole franchises that we are comparing them to, usually a big strength of that is that the villains are also just as developed as the heroes are. And in this, I didn't quite get that. With Feyd-Rautha, it's a little bit better, but again, just the Dave Bautista one kind of like has me a little bit like wanting more. From what ended up happening with him across the second movie.
No, yeah, 100%. He is definitely just a bitch in this movie.
Yeah, and he's just barely in the first one. And Dave Bautista is like a pretty damn good actor. He's proven that he can do pretty good with like, you know, the stuff that he's given. And I would say he's a pretty big actor too. So yeah, just to cast him in a role that seems and ends up being so minuscule and like kind of useless, again, not necessarily meaningless, because the failure that happens on his part contributes to like how good the victory feels for Gurney and for like the Fremen and for like the Atreides and all that stuff, right? But like I just can't help but feel that would have been more satisfying, again, with the case of Feyd-Rautha, if like they had something at stake too that they lost, rather than just like, no, they were the bad guys. Like there's not much beyond that other than just like the Harkonnens are evil, you know? They're just greedy bastards who want the spice. That's it. That's as far as it goes. That's as far as it goes. The Harkonnens are just bad guys. They come from a planet that's in black and white, so they're bad guys.
Why is it so spicy?
Yeah.
Something that I mentioned to you after the movie, but I didn't mention on here is when fucking Feyd's fucking energy suit.
Sick, honestly.
What?
Fades, bro.
Fades.
Like just when you
when Feyd's freaking energy like shield is black.
Yeah, dude. That's sick.
Because those shields are already awesome as it is.
They have a great effect. Yeah.
But I can get it in black.
Yeah, dude. That's
cool. Sick.
I was wondering when I saw it, I was like, okay, wait, is his actually black? Or is it because the planet is
it's probably because the planet. I think it's probably because the planet.
Dude, the fireworks that they had, or like whatever the fuck it was, like the way that they blew up in the air and shit, it looked crazy, dude. It looked so intense.
Yeah. I love when he like realizes that the homeboy's not drugged.
Yeah.
And then he gets like the approval from his uncle basically to like, hey, unleash your shit.
Yeah.
And he fucking takes the shield off and he's just like, yo, what's good,
dude?
he's
a savage, bro.
Oh, dude, that shit was fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's insane.
And then also when when Paul at the end asks the Emperor, like, choose a champion, he's like, I'm right here, Atreides. Or something like that.
Yeah, he's just ready, yeah.
Oh, he's fucking ready to fucking fight, bro. I did want him to kind of like, when like the Emperor and everyone are in that kind of, I don't know what they're in, but they're in that room when the fucking Fremen like are conducting their like attack and everything and like are coming from each side, coming with the worms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I thought there was going to be a scene where a few of them like came through and kind of like kicked the shit out of the like Sardaukar, but then freaking Feyd kind of just like kicks their ass.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. I think that would have been good. Dude, I just can't get over it. Like I really wanted him to be around more.
I know, dude.
I'm really thinking about it because like, I'm starting to think about like my final score of stuff. And I do think that like the villains across both of these do keep it from being perfect 10s for me. Just because they're pretty hollow now that I'm thinking about it. They're great. Don't get me wrong. Like as far as just the bad guy is a bad guy just for the sake of being a villainous, psychotic bastard. Like this is as good as it gets, right? But yeah, like I just am thinking about it more and more, and I'm like, we don't have a solid villain across this series. There's no one bad guy that is Paul Atreides' rival, and I think that's like one of the few shortcomings. I think for me is it's like. He doesn't have he has a large group that he's fighting against, right? Because he's the leader of like a rebellion.
Well, I think that's the thing. Like, I don't think this story is necessarily like good versus evil as much as it is about like the dangers of a charismatic leader and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. But the final confrontation though.
Yeah, that's
is
true.
Like the good guy versus the bad guy. So like, I think in terms of like what ends up happening in the climax of the movie.
It is good guy versus bad guy, but I think it's more so Paul fully stepping into that role that he was so reluctant to like the whole movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And becoming like you know, he's basically like I guess in the last movie, right, when it was like he was having the visions, it was like kill like Paul Atreides must die and stuff like that, which is basically what he does at the end of the first movie and killing someone for the first time, right?
Because they say
he's kind of starting to destroy the person that is Paul Atreides.
Yeah.
And I think the end of that movie, or like the last, like the very last act, right? Like when he is stepping into that role and accepting it and like going through and not forcing everyone to follow him, but being that leader, that outspoken, that really charismatic person that like everyone is like, okay, I'm going to follow this person. Like, I think that is the point of that, is more so like him fully stepping into that, right?
Yeah.
Like him winning that fight and then now, you know, being like, okay, like I won. Now I'm basically trying to become. Now I'm basically emperor, right?
Yeah.
Challenge you for it. I won. Yeah, these other houses don't agree. Now I'm gonna go fucking fight them. Whereas Paul in the first movie would not have would not have done that.
I mean, and I agree with that, but like I don't need that again after the I am the Lisan Al Gaib scene. Like that's the part where I'm sold that he has accepted his role. Like I don't need it by trial of combat after that necessarily. Like thematically, like do I want it for spectacle's sake? Yes, because the fight is fucking cool looking. But I don't think that fight scene develops his character any further than where he already was when he walks into that room and tells everybody, I am who I am. Like, I don't think it further cements his belief in himself. I think he's already good at that point.
Well, yeah, true. But I think it also cements the belief that other people have in him, right? Because you do have the moment where he's like, I'm the Lisan Al Gaib. And you're like, all right, cool, yeah. We did this battle. We captured everybody. Yeah. And now you're coming up and you're challenging someone. If you don't win, now it's like, oh, what the fuck?
Happened?
You know?
Yeah.
And the fact that he does win, they're like, okay, yeah, I'm fucking sold.
Yeah. Yeah, see, but again, I don't know. Like, okay, again, I just need to clarify. I really like the final fight scene, but the more I'm thinking about it right now, just parts of it are starting to fall apart for me. Because, like, that kind of goes against what they've worked the entire movie towards, of like him working to get the belief of the people on his side. Like that happened already. He swayed all of the Fremen people. Everybody was fucking down for him, even the doubters. So to put that into question again is like, I don't know. Because again, I was telling you too, right? Like, I think I thought the movie was going to end when they were gearing up for battle. And I'm almost thinking now that it would have been better if they did end it right there. Because we would have gotten more Feyd-Rautha. He would have ended up being in the third movie. They could have elongated and waited till you get to that final scene, right? You could have spent more time across those 9 months actually showing us some of that time in between, rather than just like an elongated montage of them winning battles and stuff. And then it would have let the victory of him swaying the people and him swaying himself be the final resolution of like this movie. And then that's put to the test over the course of an entire third movie. And it can be explored deeper rather than just the spectacle fight scene at the end. Cause like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's like, I don't think anybody would have doubted him. Like I almost expected them to be like cheering him on more. Rather than like, oh shit, maybe he's gonna lose.
Well, I don't necessarily think like that battle is them like putting into question him like once again, like, oh, is he? But it is like you do see like on their faces, like when he's like losing, they're like, oh shit,
they
like,
get scared a little bit.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we literally put all of our faith into this guy
who might die right now.
Who might fucking die right now. We just did all of this shit. We committed all of this fucking shit. Like, not that they're necessarily ever didn't want to do that because they want to liberate their fucking
but they're in like the final throne room scene or whatever type of vibe.
It's like they've done all this shit and they've gotten up to this point, and if like, you know, it's like it almost to me it almost makes them feel like
if he loses they were wrong.
If he loses they were wrong, and also like they just did all of this shit versus like him really like that. I don't know, I don't want to say it's like the last test, but it is almost like the okay, cool, you told us in like this room where all of us are leading, like if anyone comes up here I'll fucking beat the fuck out of anybody, right? And now you're going up and challenging someone. Okay, now you have to like really put your money where your mouth is, you know? And like you know, if you're gonna challenge someone, you better be the Lisan Al Gaib and beat the fuck out of them. But I don't know, that's how I just
you're right
as I've been thinking about it.
I'm just because it's like that's just like it just seems again, like everything that he was supposed to fulfill in order to be the Lisan Al Gaib feels fulfilled to me. They're not ever saying, this fool can fucking take on anybody, bro. It's that like he has the foresight to lead humanity into paradise, right? Which by default maybe necessarily means that he probably has to be a good fighter. But I don't think they're ever out there saying, like, it's never a test of strength necessarily. It's like more of a test of character. And so the fact that the final resolution ends up being this test of strength. And then it goes back to, again, of that, like, there's not really like a lot built up on the other side of the opposing force, rather than just like they're just the bad guys. It's like it just feels it spectacle wise. Like, again, I love it. I can't say enough how fucking cool it is to watch the final fight scene. It's just that, like, the more I'm thinking about it, it does feel like there's maybe a little less substance to it, and it was that there needed to be a final battle scene between these two iconic characters, regardless of what work was put into leading up to that fight, right? Because, like, they fight in the books, I'm pretty sure. They fight in the movie. So how are they not going to fight in this one or whatever? But, like, the journey that we were on is not necessarily... Again, I don't think that the journey that Paul is on is, like, becoming the best fighter.
No,
So,
for
like,
sure not.
Yeah.
This is more so, like, an assertion of, like, his dominance over everybody else, you know?
Yeah, but that's what I mean, though. It's like it's still solved in, like it would almost be cooler to me if he just used the voice to be like, no, motherfuckers, I am the fucking one. Shut the fuck up and listen to what I'm telling you. Because, again, it's not the rest of the movie is not setting him up necessarily as like he needs to beat the final bad guy in order to be the Lisan al-Gaib. It's that he needs to step into his own shoes to do that thing. So, like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like it just feels like there needed to be a final fight scene, less than like that's where the story was naturally going for him to fulfill his role finally. Again, I felt like that was achieved when he walks into that room and just proves to everybody, the Fremen people, right? Because it doesn't matter. He doesn't need to prove it to the rest of the galaxy. It's he's trying to sway the people that he's the Lisan al-Gaib, not that he's the fucking, what is it? Kitsat Haderach, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
That part he doesn't care about. He knows he's just trying to fulfill the role so that he can get the Fremen people to follow him, so that he can take care of what he needs to take care of. I don't think he's necessarily trying to prove it to the rest of the galaxy that, like, he's the chosen one. At least the way that it is set up in this. Maybe that'll be different once we get into the events following this movie, right? Like, maybe he does go on a conquest of, like, no, like, the rest of the galaxy is going to know that, like, I'm God or whatever, right? Type of vibes and stuff. But, yeah, it just doesn't... That's, like, not what he wants. So, like... Yeah, I don't know. It's just the more I think about it, the more it's like just starting to like not fit perfectly in the same way that I would like it to. It's just that if it was going to be that, I would have rather had more at stake for the other side as well. I would have wanted more buildup of like the villainous side of that, like test of strength at the end. But it is what it is. It was still awesome to watch. And it still works really well as the climactic moment. But for a movie that is so subversive in the sense of like, no, this is about a person's personal journey and not about them necessarily overcoming evil, like outward forces of evil, but actually deciding to give in to maybe having to be a little more morally gray on the inside of themselves for the final resolution of that, for still to just be like a battle between good versus evil, just feels like a little out of place, I think. But I don't know. Again, it has to have it, right? Because it is still a big action epic at the end of the day. So how are you not going to have a final battle between the two of them? But it also could just be that, like, I want more Feyd-Rautha. So I'm like, save that. He was the closest thing, I think, to that real opposing figure of like a possible person that could take him down a peg, right? And now he's just gone. So if we do go into a third movie, like, now I'm curious as to what the opposing force even is, right? It's like, I'm interested, and I do want him to go more into like a deeper dive of like, rather than he's struggling to actually gain control over the galaxy, it's like he's struggling more what it means to now have that control over the galaxy and have people leading a holy war in the name of him and his father and his house and stuff like that. I think that's more interesting. So like, I do want to see that, but like, Yeah, there is still that classicness of the epicness to it, where I want a villain. Like I want an opposing force that is one character that he's like trying to go up against but can't beat until this is all like over. But it could also just be over, because I'm also thinking of this all in context that there's a Dune Part 3. And there could not be. This could be the conclusion, right? I don't know if he's necessarily
I think I've
said.
seen that like Denis Villeneuve is working on script for Dune 3.
And it's Dune Part 3.
I believe that's what I've seen, yes.
Okay, because if it ends up being Dune Messiah, and it's like a time skip and it's later, then like cool, it makes sense that Feyd-Rautha died in this movie, because it's the conclusion to this first story. But like if they go further than that, then like, yeah, man, I wanted him to be around a little longer. I wanted him to be there more.
I would almost argue that they made his mom more the antagonist in this movie than just because like she is pushing the idea of the Lisan al-Gaib, and Paul is very much against accepting all of that, right? Where she's trying to kind of like force that. She is that like opposing force of like Paul's trying to do his own thing. And kind of just be a part of the Fremen people and like kind of do that. And find his own path, like his dad said, you know? Whereas fucking you have Lady Jessica and their fucking creepy baby being like, no, Paul's the one. We have to make Paul do this. We have to make people fucking do this. And like the more people are swayed, I feel like the more Paul starts to care about the people and is like, fuck, dude, like I can't. Like, I'm getting these visions of, like, you know, all this shit fucking happening. And if I don't do this, like, yeah, if I do this, billions of people are going to fucking die. Like, right? And that fucking sucks. But, like, if I don't do this, then, like...
all of humanity will die.
All of humanity will fucking die, basically.
Yeah, but I think it's also important to remember, too, though, that it's not like Lady Jessica is doing everything of her own accord. She has a very hardcore switch because of the water of life, right? Like, in the beginning of the movie... I don't think she has any plans of like trying to make her son the Messiah. No. It's that she inherits all of the like everlasting history of like all the other Reverend Mothers of the Fremen, right? And then she becomes this other person. Whereas like Feyd-Rautha is the only one doing shit because that's what he wants to do. You know what I mean? Like everybody else is forced into their role of like morally gray or like villainous, because I agree, I think she is kind of like a villain, but she's forced into it though. Like those are not her intentions. Those are like pure-hearted characters turned to the dark side, so to speak, because of necessity, not because like that's where they want to be. True, very true. Like that. And again, you're like what you were saying earlier is that's kind of like the main point of the story, right? Which is maybe why like the more quote unquote traditional villains like a Feyd-Rautha or like Robin or whatever his name was, Dave Bautista's character, are kind of more treated as like archetypes more than they are full on characters, is because they're meant to serve this other story that they're trying to tell of like, you know, a hero's downfall and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just there's certain things that you also just come to expect in epics like this, you know? And so when it does subvert it like that, it's like, dang, that part wasn't there though. And like if it was there, I still like I feel like they could have done both, you know? And it just didn't happen. Again, it's not even necessarily like a ton of points away from the movie. This is at this point me just like writing fan fiction of like I would have rather had more Feyd-Rautha across the whole thing, or even just more of Dave Bautista's character becoming like this like rival opposing force rather than just like something to serve the story of them, you know. But that probably also would have taken like either a whole nother movie or like both of these being like 3.5 hours long. So, you know, 100%. It is what it is.
100%. But yeah, dude, this movie was fucking sick, bro.
It's crazy,
like,
dude. Definitely a modern classic for sure. It's gonna go down as one of the best, I think.
Dude, and just like sets the bar super high for like movie of the year. Like honestly, like
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean we'll see what happens too, because I feel like this is one of the rare cases I think where you have a good blend of like your tentpole franchise fantasy superhero like medieval like hero's journey type thing that could have a run at being a serious contender for stuff. But they also always snub this shit and just give them like the special effects awards. Or,
well,
like,
I don't even mean from like just an award standpoint. I think just as just a general consensus standpoint.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I think there always is like, you know, award shows are going to be award shows and they're going to like give people the awards that like, you know, whatever, like whether they deserve them or not. But I think there is just like a general consensus throughout like the whatever, like the internet or just like the population of people who really appreciate movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think this will for sure be one, because like for a space sci-fi epic that is about like religion and shit like that, to be this good is fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
It's pretty fucking ridiculous.
Well, I think also too though, it's just that like, because I actually saw a lot of videos about this as well, which is like is like fans of like the Dune series already versus like fans of the Dune movies. And it's basically just like that classic thing, right? Of like, yeah, this is what Dune has been about since 1960. Like you guys are late to the party.
Yeah, no, 100%.
like, and I feel that way too, because like everything I've seen, right? I'm like, oh my god, this is so crazy. This, and they're like, yeah, that's what Dune's about. That's what Dune's been about.
That is
bro.
Dune.
They've been subverting these expectations since like whatever 1960 something when they came out. You know, like granted, it wasn't in movie form, but like I think that's just that's what we I think we as a society in general have like moved on from oral storytelling. We don't really, at this point now especially, we don't really pay attention to like books and stuff like that as much anymore. We're pretty heavy on like, what's the most influential movie? Like nobody's going to ask you what's your favorite book. Right? Somebody's going to come up and ask you what's your favorite movie. So I think that's part of what it is that like we've moved on, I think in general, to like visual storytelling is like our main medium of like receiving these like, you know, themes that challenge us, themes that make us feel good, things that make us question our reality, whatever it might be. We look to movies for them now. We don't really look to books as much anymore. So we'll kind of like push those to the wayside, even though like again they've been around. Like this story has been accessible for fucking decades at this point, but with the way we are now, it's made more accessible because it's like in movie form.
Really quick before we wrap up, a scene we haven't talked about, when Paul rides the worm for the first fucking time.
That was so cool.
Dude, and so
good.
fucking sick, dude. Like I love just everything about it, dude. Like
the setup of it, of like, you know, everybody kind of being nervous or whatever, or like at least Chani being pretty nervous, right? Because like they're fully in love at that point.
Well, also like Stilgard being a little nervous, you know.
And then
like,
also I love too the turn, right, of like everybody getting freaked out when they see how big the fucking worm is that's coming at them, and they're like, no. Even Stilgard's like, no, that's too big.
Yeah, like that's a giant ass fucking worm.
Like,
we don't want one
shit,
this fucking
bro.
big.
Yeah. But then that's part of the prophecy too, right? Is it's like he'll ride the grandfather worm or whatever, like without any fucking problem and shit. But yeah, just the way that the intensity and like how difficult it is for him to like actually finally get up to even just standing on the back of it is like really well done. The tension in that scene is super good.
The effects, everything was so fucking good, dude.
It's awesome. It's really good shit.
It was fucking ridiculous, dude.
Where does it sit for you? Do you agree with the IMDb'ers, or do you give it a little bit higher?
For me personally, I gave it a 10, 100%.
Okay,
Like I walked away from this movie like absolutely blown away from the cinematography to the story to the acting to the pace of the movie. Like it was 2:46 and it was paced super well. Like for me, like there are slower points 100%, but I think like
they're good though.
They're good. They're not out of
intriguing.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, man, like it was for me just a modern day, just epic, dude. Like I walked away from this like, oh yeah. Like obviously I have like movies that I'm gonna like show my kids, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I have kids.
Yeah.
And like this immediately, like boom.
Yeah.
Like this is one of them. Like this is a fucking, especially just like the fight scene at the end, like that is just something to like look forward to. Like even if your kid doesn't like the whole movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, watch this
Still
fucking
awesome
part.
battle.
Watch this fucking fight scene right here, and I can explain like oh, these fools hate each other, blah 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 blah. Because it's like my dad did that shit too with like shit like Bloodsport and stuff like that. He didn't show me the whole movie, but he's like, hey, watch this fucking scene, and I'm just like, oh, this is fucking awesome. So it's like this movie to me has everything that I look for in a movie. I mean, shit, it was perfect for me. It was awesome. It was great. Timothée Chalamet did awesome.
Yeah,
I'm a new Timothée Chalamet fan. And yeah, I want to see more of this. Like I said, I need that still shot of Feyd and freaking Paul facing each other with the sun in the background.
Yeah.
And the fucking the cutout. I need that framed.
Yeah, super iconic.
Yeah, man. I have nothing but good things to say about this. So yeah, would I've liked to have seen more Feyd-Rautha, 1000%. But like to me, I thought he was very serviceable for the movie, and I really liked a lot of what I saw from him. So I was down. I was down.
Yeah, I mean, I already explained the reasons why earlier, but yeah, for me it's a 9. Just because I feel like in general the series is like kind of weak on the villains now that I'm thinking about it. But not that the performances are weak, but the use of those performances, right? Because an actor can be fantastic, but that doesn't mean that it's like necessarily utilized to its full potential, at least in my mind. I think they could have done more with him. But I agree with everything else that you said, though. I agree that it's a modern day epic. I think it's for sure, like I was saying, like a pretty instant classic as far as like these like, big tentpole franchises that we talk about all the time goes. Like the modern day version of Dune, I think is for sure gonna be, I mean, again, we'll see how the rest of the series goes, but at least Dune part 1 and 2, and then depending on how like 3 wraps it up, I think is probably gonna go down in history as like one of the best trilogies for sure. Like we're very much on the road to that. I think like I don't see how. He's such a good director from the stuff that I've seen already, and just like how well he's handled both of these first 2 movies. And I think like how clear his vision was from the setup of the first movie to where we are now in this second movie. Like I have full faith that he has the finale locked in, and it'll be a satisfying finale, and it'll be an epic finale, and it'll probably be even more subversive than this movie was, I think, because I think that's probably his main objective with these, is to kind of take you on a different route across this like hero's journey that we've come to expect. And so I'm really excited to see like how all of this concludes for sure, because there's a lot of promise that I want to see fulfilled still as well going forward, right? Because like Florence Pugh is also a really big actor to cast for like such a little amount of screen time that she had in this.
Christopher Walken
is a huge actor to cast to, again, very small amount of screen time, but again, I have faith that he will make good on that because of the history from 1 to 2. I think I was telling you that like right when we got out of the movies, of that like he did a good job of, I think Josh Brolin is another one, right? Like Gurney's barely in the first movie, but then he has like a pretty significant role in this second one. And so I think that trend will continue with some of the characters that they maybe just set up quickly in this second one will carry over to have more important roles in the third. And so I'm excited to see how all that plays out, dude. I cannot fucking wait for Dune Part 3. I
need it
doesn't
already.
Take as long. Yeah,
I need it right now.
Seriously, I wish they would have been like a double release. Like if they just waited another year or 2 and then just gave me both movies, I would be happier than having to wait like probably like 3 or 4 until the next one, bro. Because fuck, dude, it's like not a huge cliffhanger, but it's pretty cliffhanger.
It just leaves you wanting more. Like it's such an epic movie that ends on such an epic fight scene.
He's going to war with all of the rest of the galaxy, and then it's just over, right? Because like before the whole final battle starts, it's like he's like, send a message up, like they can either comply or we're going to war, basically, right?
Yeah.
And then all of them are like, nope, fuck that, we're going to war, and then it's just over.
And he's all, take us to paradise.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So like, definitely leaves you ready for whatever this conclusion is gonna be, and I think it's gonna be epic. I'm very, very excited.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be good shit.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I'm excited to see it in IMAX this weekend, dude.
Dude, me too. Because again, just like visually, some of the coolest stuff that I have seen in a while, like probably since like pre the end of Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the most iconic shots I've seen, for sure.
1,000%.
Yeah, pretty epic stuff, dude.
Hell yeah. But yeah, guys, that was episode number 92. Go and check out Dune in theaters. Go and support it in theaters, because this is definitely a movie that needs to be watched.
It's going to make a ton of money. Even I will say, go watch it. But even if you don't, this is just one of those ones.
Yeah,
it's going to make $1 million. Like,
it's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
But yeah, guys, that was episode number 92. Go and check us out on wherever you like to get your podcast at, whether that be Spotify or Apple Podcasts, at 2HIGH4TV, TOHIGH4TV, and that is the number 4, motherfuckers.
You know how it goes.
We're not spelling it out.
Nope.
We're symbolic over here.
That's right.
Go check us out on YouTube as well. Same 2HIGH4TV, TOHIGH4TV, Instagram, TOHIGH4TV, and yeah, you know, just let us know what you want to watch.
Yeah.
Let us know what you are watching right now.
Let us know what you think of the things we're watching. You know what I was thinking would be fun is that we could start trying to figure out what we're gonna watch next week.
Mm-hmm.
During the week before, so that we can tell people at the end of the episodes, and then you guys can watch so that you're caught up on the conversation when we get to next week's episode.
Yes.
Caught up on the topic, caught up on the content.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Be fun.
Hell yeah. But yes, that was episode number 92. I was one of your hosts, Ryan.
I was your other host, Daniel.
And we are motherfucking out of here.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.